Chapter 719. Yihua tightly gripped onto Red Tooth, and his pair of empty eyes looked towards Kai Yun. Are you curious as to why I, as an undead, am so strong? I can tell you that I don't know either. After Yihua finished speaking, his right hand directly grabbed onto Kai Yun's neck. Yihua shouted out, "Kuanli Karmic Fire." Green flames emerged from Yihua's palm and instantly enveloped Kai Yun's body, turning him into a green flaming man. Let me go, you shameless undead. Kai Yun struggled violently, but Yihua's 5 fingers were tightly gripping onto Kai Yun's neck. A gloomy voice came out from Yihua's mouth. You should feel fortunate that the golden leather silk that you are wearing has allowed you to withstand some of the damage, but this is just for a moment. Bastard. Kai Yun punched and kicked at Yihua's skeletal body. Don't waste your energy. Do you know the effect of the Kuanli Karma Fire? It can prevent you from releasing any spiritual energy. Right now, you are just the most ordinary little girl. After Yihua finished speaking, he stretched out his left hand and flicked Kai Yun's forehead. Shameless. I don't like to play with you. Kai Yun was still struggling, and the golden leather silk that was on her body was currently being burned and was gradually melting. Yihua said indifferently, Be my little brother, and I will spare your life. I don't want to be your little brother, no. Kai Yun continued to struggle, and the clothes on his body instantly turned into ashes, revealing his underdeveloped small body. Yihua wasn't interested in her at all. She is simply a minor. Compared to my lovely wife, she isn't even worth looking at. Under the Kuanli Karmic Fire, you don't even have the chance to return to your original form. What right do you have to fight with me? Me. If you have the ability, let me go. As long as I use my main body, you're finished. Kai Yun was very unconvinced. This man actually had so many deviant flames. It must be known that even in the prehistoric era, deviant flames were extremely rare existences. This thing was a heaven-defying existence. As you wish. Kuanli Karma Fire was instantly retracted by Yihua, and then Kai Yun's small body was tossed out. Kai Yun's small body was truly lacking in both chest and buttocks. Her figure was even worse than Yi Zizi's. Kai Yun didn't have any intention of being shy and glared at Yihua angrily. I will let you take a look at my true form. Don't be so scared that you pee in your pants. It better be so. You don't have anywhere to pee anyway. Yihua. As a skeleton, it didn't seem like it needed to pee. Suddenly, Kai Yun's body began to swell up. This sort of swell would make one shiver in fear. His entire belly swelled outwards, and his head and limbs seemed to be wrapped inside. The color of his body was also changing, like the volcanic rocks with shades of gray and black. Yihua silently looked at Kai Yun's main body. This flag master is indeed very powerful. The strength of this main body was enough to fight against his 7 deadly sins. Taking him in as a follower would not be considered a loss of face. It was just that his figure was a little lacking. However, Yi Zizi should also be very happy. After all, there was a girl with a worse figure than her. Otherwise, Yi Zizi would always complain that she couldn't grow up. Wave after wave of boundless aura spiraled around the world, and it seemed as if the entire world was going to collapse. Yihua even felt that the illusory realm was a little unable to hold on any longer, and he could only increase the strength of the illusory realm. Yihua was very satisfied with Kei's strength. Coupled with those strange subordinates of hers, they were a pretty good force. Looking at all of the open clouds, it was like the moon hanging in the sky. It really was rather similar. Suddenly, a gigantic eye opened. It was indeed as Yi Zizi had described. It was indeed very frightening. Imagining the moon opening its eyes, it really caused one's scalp to go numb. Haha. You are dead for sure. And you still want me to be a follower? No way. Kai Yun laughed loudly, and that loud and clear voice seemed as if it was transmitted to outer space. Yihua asked faintly, Is this all of your strength? What? Did you get scared by me? Let me tell you, I can insta-kill you. You are finished. Facing the gigantic Kai Yun, Yihua was just like a small too insignificant. Insta-kill me? Where did your confidence come from? Yihua could be seen clapping his hands. Green-colored Kuanli Karma Fire appeared on his left hand, while purple-colored Firmament Ghost Fire appeared on his right hand. Your deviant flames are no longer effective against me. Looking at the two types of deviant flames in Yihua's hands, Kaiyun was a little worried, wondering if his main body would be able to withstand them. In the past, I felt that deviant flames couldn't be fused, but my daughter did it. Fuse with deviant flames? Haha. What kind of joke are you playing? Kaiyun let out a mocking voice. Fusing with deviant flames was rather dangerous. If one's control was slightly off, one would suffer a backlash. Do I look like someone who jokes around? Hearing Yihua's words, Kaiyun's gigantic eye revealed fear. Because Yihua's hands started to close. The hell? We can talk things out. There is no need for you to die together with me. Kaiyun was a little afraid. It's fine if you want to commit suicide, but I still want to play top. Yihua ignored him. Kaiyun, who was currently fusing with the deviant flames, was scared to the point that he was trembling. This man is crazy. This man is definitely crazy. Let me be your follower, alright? Don't give up on yourself like this. Isn't it just a fight? Don't kill someone. Kaiyun was terrified, because he sensed the strong aura being emitted out by the deviant flames. If I were to explode, I will definitely die. I am not an elemental race. If I die, then I will really die. Don't be noisy, Yihua shouted out gravely. This was the first time he was trying to fuse with the deviant flames, and it was indeed a little scary. Kaiyun reminded in a low voice. Be careful then, think about your child, think about your wife. Yihua, who was fusing with the deviant flames, felt the difficulty. Ali is able to fuse with the deviant flames at such a young age. As Ali's father, how can I not be able to do it? There is nothing in this world that I, the Supreme Overlord, cannot do it. Seeing that Yihua was going to use brute force to fuse with the deviant flames, Kaiyun was scared to the point that he immediately changed back into the body of a little girl. Big brother, don't forget it. Let's go out to eat. Let's not fight anymore. Shut up, Yihua shouted out angrily. I won't fight anymore, alright? I will give you whatever you want. I have only been out for a few months, and I didn't think that I would be gone again. After finished speaking, Kaiyun actually started bawling loudly. He was simply so sad that he was about to die. This man is actually risking his life for no reason. It would be fine if you are risking your life. Why are you dragging me along? Yihua ignored Kaiyun and recalled the path of experience that Ali had told him. Following what his daughter said, Yihua became more cautious. This caused Kaiyun, who was bawling loudly, to stop crying. Because the two deviant flames had become a little more stable. They were no longer as berserk as before, and seemed like they would explode at any moment. Be careful. Add a bit more to this side. Aya, there is a bit less over there. Chapter 720. Yihua glared at Kaiyun furiously. Shut up. Kaiyun lowered his head and pursed his lips, not saying a word. Even if he couldn't, he still had to forcefully fuse with her. It looked like his daughter was even stronger than him. She was really too weak. After who knew how much time had passed, Kaiyun had already fallen asleep while lying in the void. Fusing with otherworldly flames was not something that could be done in a short while. Outside the illusion, everyone was still waiting. Donghuang Baiji was very anxious. Why hasn't my husband appeared yet? If the one who appears first is that flag master. The more Donghuang Baiji thought about it, the more afraid Donghuang Baiji became. If Yihua were to know how worried his wife was about him, he would definitely knock on the Empress's forehead. To think that you have so little confidence in me. Go back and serve me in torture. Right now, Five Flags was really worried about their flag master, wondering if something would happen to him. Especially Yihua, she couldn't sit still. Lucifer, who was sitting below, was even more so. If you immortals were to fight, don't drag a mortal like me into it. Lucifer plucked up his courage and said, About that, I have also finished my meal, and I forgot to turn off the gas at my house. Is it possible? The impatient Moonlight looked at Lucifer coldly, and the latter was so scared that he trembled. Get lost. Yihua shouted coldly. Hearing Yihua's words, Lucifer felt that he would be able to go back and turn off the gas today. Alright, scram immediately. Lucifer and Miller didn't even think about it. They immediately spread their wings and flew away without a care for their lives. This meal was really frightening. In the future, it was better to keep a low profile and not stand out. Even if they were strong, they had to hide it. Who knew if there was someone even stronger? Thus, only Voidless Realm and South Wuchi's people were left, and they were waiting anxiously. The sun gradually set, and darkness enveloped the earth. However, they had not come out yet. In the illusory realm, it was still daytime. After all, it was an illusion. The alternation of day and night could not be replicated. Right now, Yihua was still trying to fuse them together, and he did not give up. Kai Yun, who was bored, turned his body sideways and looked at Yihua with his forehead open. From time to time, he would scratch his ears. "Boss, forget it. I won't tell anyone," Kai Yun said softly. This fusion of deviant flames was something that could not be done without a few hundred years. He did not want to lie in this illusion for a few hundred years. "Call me Your Honor," Yihua said indifferently. All right, Your Honor, stop messing around," Kai Yun begged bitterly. He still wanted to increase his score. If he really waited for a few hundred years, would there still be that kind of game? Yihua glared at Kai Yun. "As a subordinate, you should act like a subordinate." "I have never been a subordinate before, how would I know?" Kai Yun pouted his mouth. This is too much of a bully. While Yihua was fusing with the deviant flames, Yihua asked curiously, "How did the two of you get captured?" "Your Honor, are you going to take revenge for me?" Kai Yun's eyes lit up, and he felt that there was hope. "If you perform well, I can consider it." "Really?" Yihua replied casually. Recalling the matters from a long time ago, Kai Yun pouted and said, "We're people from the primordial era." Yihua remained silent and listened attentively. "Your Honor, let me tell you, you have never seen the people from the Great Desolate Era. Every single one of them is extremely ferocious and they fight and play every day. Furthermore, all of them are the type that don't want to sleep, and furthermore, they don't even have a wheat whirlwind to eat. Get to the point." A few black lines appeared on Yihua's forehead. "I'm sorry, I was just sighing with emotion. Every single one of the people from the Great Desolate Era are very strong, and they are also very huge. For example, we are only the rulers of a small corner in the south. Although it is only a small corner, it is much bigger than this place." Yihua asked, "What level of strength does the two of you belong to in the Great Desolate Era?" Actually, I'm not too sure either. Let's just talk about that small corner. The distribution of power there is very big, and we are all very powerful existences there. If the two of you are so powerful, how did you get sealed?" Yihua asked curiously. Didn't I say it already? That is only a small corner. I don't know which bastard snitched on us, and then, a group of people came over. We fought with them and forced them to retreat, and then, 3 people came over. In order to protect me, they sealed me, and then they were captured," Kai Yun said angrily. "If those 3 people were still alive, I would definitely kill them. They actually dared to bully my subordinates." "Captured?" Yihua asked curiously. Kai Yun nodded his head. "I heard from them that after they were captured, they were tortured and forced to tell me about my whereabouts. However, they didn't say anything. I'm so touched. However, those people were unable to kill my subordinates, and thus they sealed them up." "Why did they want to capture you?" Yihua was puzzled, feeling that the matter wasn't that simple. "How would I know? In any case, the Great Desolate Era is long gone, and what's left are only some Great Desolate Era's godly beasts and ferocious beasts." Kai Yun spread out his hands, indicating that there was no way for him to find someone to take revenge on. Yihua could be considered to have a rough understanding of the Great Desolate Era. However, the Great Desolate Era was already a thing of the past, and there was no use in understanding it. "That subordinate of yours, if it was in the situation of a vacuum, would he have died?" Yihua asked curiously. When Yihua said this, Kai Yun's expression changed. Looking at Kai Yun's expression, Yihua knew that he had guessed correctly. Although that Yihua is in the form of water, if she is sucked by Yi Zizi, she should also die, right? There's also that Luo Ho. Yihua said one after another, causing Kai Yun to feel very bad, as if Yihua had caught hold of his weakness. Seeing that Kai Yun was unhappy, Yihua said calmly, "In the future, They will all be my subordinates. I naturally won't harm them, and I will keep this a secret for you. Really? Your Honor, can you keep this a secret? Kai Yun said excitedly. Towards his subordinates, Kai Yun was especially protective, and this could be seen from the matter that he reminded Luo Ho. I never lie, Yi Hua said solemnly. However, Kai Yun believed Yi Hua. Your Honor, then, can you tell me, why are you so powerful? Kai Yun asked curiously. He also wanted to increase his strength, only then would he be able to protect his subordinates. Yi Hua let out a light breath, then said calmly, if you are able to watch Calabash Brothers save Grandpa for 12 hours a day and persevere for 3 years, you will also be able to become as powerful as me. Calabash Brothers save Grandpa? What is that? I want to watch it too. Kai Yun was very excited. Is it that simple? To express that I can do it too. However, Kai Yun did not even manage to persevere for a week. I can't bear to watch it anymore. Watching the same thing every single time is simply a type of torture. When the time comes, I will go out and tell you. Your Honor, you are the best. Kai Yun said happily. Yi Hua was a little gratified. It's good that you know. I treat my subordinates very well, and I often pull strings for them. Chapter 721. Yi Hua felt that it was better not to harm the good girl. Do you still not know about Lai Gu's personality? He liked everyone he saw. Back then he loved those 3 celebrities to death. Now that it had been a long time, it was boring. It was a common problem for men. Seeing Yi Hua's ability, how could he not jump? Although I should take care of my subordinates, but right now, Yi Hua is also my subordinate, I can't harm Yi Hua. Yi Hua is such a good girl, but for the sake of my boss, she was tortured and extorted. Yet she didn't reveal a single word. Such a woman is a good woman. Letting Lai Gu marry him was truly a bit of a loss. Wei Chong, that kind of honest and sincere person, was more like it. Honorable Lai Gu. Is Lai Gu such a person in your heart? Lai Gu is so sad, I really want to cry. No wonder your honor didn't help Lai Gu and gave it to someone else. Yi Hua paused for a moment. Forget about this, let them do as they please. Your honor, are you really not going to consider it? Yi Hua is very family-oriented, and she's a good woman. She's worth 100 men. Kai Yun was practically like a salesman, trying his best to promote the moonlight flower. Especially when he said that one could be used for 100 times, even I was a little moved. However, upon thinking about the 2 shrews and the sister-in-law that I have at home, I decided to forget about it. I, the Supreme Overlord, don't have the time to quarrel with them. Furthermore, it is because of a strange woman that I am not familiar with. Alright, this matter ends here. Don't mention it again. I'm really a bit envious of Ali's talent. As expected of the child born from my bloodline, and the Eastern Emperor's bloodline. Since young, Ali has always been a bug. Kai Yun even wanted to sell Moonlight to his honor, but I feel that his honor doesn't like Moonlight at all. If Yi Hua knew that her flag owner was trying so hard to promote her, she would definitely cry in anger. Your honor, do you have any other subordinates? Shut up. Yes, in the future speak less and do more. Yi Hua reminded. This Kai Yun is too talkative. Oh, got it. Kai Yun lowered her head and circled around Yi Hua. Her small mouth was smacking, seemingly wanting to move a lot. Looking at Kai Yun's appearance, Yi Hua said helplessly, speak. Your honor, what is your blood type? Your honor, what is your zodiac sign? Your honor, what animals do you like? Your honor, what do you like to eat for supper? Your honor, do you like to eat crayfish? Yi Hua. Under this kind of environment, Yi Hua was already unable to concentrate. Both of his hands immediately separated from each other, and kept the 2 balls of deviant fire. His heart was filled with unwillingness. The fusion of the deviant flame was too difficult. Could it be because of his bloodline? Ali possessed 2 types of bloodlines and easily fused the deviant flame. His honor, aren't you going to fuse with it? Kai Yun cried out in surprise, and had a joyous look on his face. His honor has finally given up. This is simply too great. Forget it, I will fuse with it next time. I have another trump card up my sleeves. Yi Hua said faintly, and a strong sense of confidence burst forth from his body. This stunned Kai Yun. There was actually something more powerful than strange fire. Your Honor, what kind of trump card is it? Can you tell me? Kai asked curiously. You will know in the future. Of course, Yihua wouldn't tell Kai about it. In fact, even his subordinates and his wife didn't know about it. This was an ability that he had obtained after his rebirth. It was so terrifying that even the main body was afraid of it. I, the Supreme Overlord, will never lie. Along with Yihua waving his hand, the illusion suddenly disappeared, and the two of them appeared in South Wuqi. When Donghuang Baiji saw that her husband had come out from the illusion, she immediately became extremely excited. Those few hours felt like a few years to her. I don't want to feel like this anymore. It is too scary. Yihua looked at Donghuang Baiji, who was running with tears of joy. Yihua slightly opened his arms and hugged onto Donghuang Baiji. Yihua, kiss me. Donghuang Baiji wasn't shy and took the initiative to say. Yihua naturally wouldn't disappoint his wife, and kissed onto Donghuang Baiji's soft cherry lips. When Kai saw his honor and his wife hugging and kissing each other, he pouted his mouth. Flagmaster, how is the situation? Yihua asked concernedly while hugging onto the flagmaster. This flagmaster made a small mistake, Kai said while stammering. He was a bit embarrassed. I actually lost. Furthermore, I lost along with my subordinates. This is so depressing. Yihua let out a sigh of relief. It's good that you are fine. It doesn't matter even if you lost. If Yihua were to find out that the flagmaster had strongly recommended her in the illusion just now, she would definitely be angry. But I have a bet with him. If I were to lose, I would have to. Kai Yun, this clever little fellow, started tricking his subordinates. Flagmaster, it doesn't matter. We will forever be your subordinates. Yihua said respectfully. Bai Gu, who was at the back, also said respectfully. We will forever follow Flagmaster. We pledge our loyalty to you. Luoho shouted out in a low voice. I will forever follow Flagmaster. The scarecrow Guangsha followed up and said. Vow. Song Konghong said slowly. Kai Yun hurriedly stopped Song Konghong. Little Red, I know what you want to say. Song Konghong revealed out a grateful expression. Just that, her face was truly ugly. Her facial features looked as if they were squeezed together. You all, come over here for a moment. We have to discuss a matter. We have to turn the tables. Kai Yun suddenly had a good idea. Right now, Yihua had already kissed the Empress to the point that her mind was in a mess. If there was a bed, Yihua would have definitely gotten onto it. Yihua, in the future, don't make me wait like this. Donghuang Baiji said tenderly. Fool, don't you know my strength? I knew that you like to act cool. I'm just afraid that you will end up getting F***ket instead. Yihua. This is a ridicule from my wife, and it is practically a critical hit. Yihua stretched out his hand and slapped towards the Empress's perky butt. Papa. This time, the Empress was finally embarrassed, and she buried her devastatingly beautiful face into her husband's embrace. You are really asking for a lesson. To even dare to ridicule your husband. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never been F***ket instead when I act cool. Standing on the spot, Yihua looked at Kai Yun. Shouldn't you bring your subordinates over to pay respect to me? Looking at her husband's posture, Donghuang Baiji knew that Yihua had won. My man is too strong. Donghuang Baiji felt like she was being surrounded by a wave of happiness. If I regretted going to that bar a few years ago, then I was lucky right now. Back then, I walked into that bar, had a one-night stand with Yihua, and got together with Ali. Thinking about these things, Donghuang Baiji couldn't help but reveal out a light smile. Fate, this thing, who can say for sure? In the end, I still ended up walking together with Yihua. Although Yihua has all the bad habits that men have, Yihua is also changing himself. The main point is that Yihua loves me, and that is enough. Chapter 722. At this moment, Kai Yun brought along his subordinates and walked to the front of Yihua, then said respectfully, Your Honor, my subordinates wish to challenge you. Yihua slightly let go of Donghuang Baiji, and killing intent was emitting out from his eyes. This Kai Yun has already touched my bottom line. Just now, when I was in the illusory realm, I didn't say this. Say that one more time. Yihua's tone was cold, and even Lai Gu and Yi Zizi who were behind him changed. Although Lai Gu did like Yuhua a bit, but that was only a favorable impression. However, when Yuhua touched his honor's bottom line, Lai Gu did not give his honor any face. It is your honor that his honor took you in. Just accept it humbly. Kaiyun was completely confused, and hurriedly explained. Your honor, I didn't go back on my words. What I meant was, let's have another spar, and no matter who wins or loses, I will fulfill my promise. Hearing Kaiyun's words, Yihua retracted his killing intent a little. Let's pay our respects first. Kaiyun pursed his lips. What a petty man. He couldn't take it anymore. This subordinate is Kaiyun. We pay our respects to his honor. Kaiyun took the lead to pay his respects. However, the 5 flags at the back obeyed Kaiyun's words. They prostrated themselves on the ground and shouted. Subordinates pay respect to the Supreme One. Comfortable. Yihua slightly raised his hand. Get up. Thank you, Your Honor. Yihua nodded his head. All right, how are we going to compete? Lord, please follow me. Kaiyun grinned, and with a respectful expression, he led the way into the roofless great hall. However, when Yihua brought his wife over to take a look, he saw that there were 5 computers placed at the center of the room. Dang dang dang. Your Honor, let's fight. Bo 5-inch Yihua. Yi Zizi, who was standing behind them, immediately became interested. What are we playing? It's League of Legends. We're 5v5, so our numbers are just right. Kaiyun waved his little hand and said excitedly. Yihua continued to be speechless. Do I look so childish to you? Bai Gu could be seen moving 5 computers over from God knows where, separating them in the middle, and plugging in the power supply and internet cable. Your Honor, please. Kaiyun pouted his small mouth and begged. Yi Zizi wasn't weak. She had never been afraid of anyone when playing games. Your Honor, don't be afraid, I am here. Yihua judged in his heart. If I were to lose, wouldn't I lose a lot of face? If he won, he wouldn't feel any sense of accomplishment. But if I don't play, it would seem like I'm very petty. Come at me then. Yihua said gravely. In any case, I have played the game before, although I wasn't very good at it. Yihua, I don't know how to play. Donghuang Baiji, who had never played before, said in a low voice while standing beside Yihua. Yi Zizi suggested. Your Honor, you can bring along your wife to play the bottom lane, and leave the jungling to me. Lai Gu kept a straight face, and had a look of, I am an expert on his face, but he did not speak. However, Lai Gu had never played before, but he mustn't lose in terms of aura. Death Mage hugged onto his death scythe and stood there silently. He also had the silence of an expert. Death Mage had played the mobile version before, but he had never played the PC version before. However, it should be about the same. On Kaiyun's side, they were currently discussing tactics. Flagmaster, that high school student seems to be very powerful. We'll target him later, Luoho whispered. Lai Gu is going to be caught like a dog later on. This is the result of pretending to be an expert. Yuhua said tenderly, Flagmaster, he is after all his honor. It is better for us to go easy on him. What are you all talking about? Since his honor is so powerful, does he still need us to go easy on him? Kaiyun was very tsundere. Using this chance to take revenge on his honor, this was the typical thoughts of a little girl. Just when Kaiyun and the others were discussing their strategy, Lai Gu walked over with a bottle of mineral water, and said with a smile, Yuhua, are you thirsty? Here's some water. Yuhua slowly raised her head, and looked towards Lai Gu. In any case, they are colleagues now. It's best for me to not make our relationship sour. Thank you. Yuhua took the bottle of mineral water from Lai Gu's hand. Lai Gu was very happy, and he walked back with small steps, just like a child. In actuality, Lai Gu used his body to conquer those 3 celebrities he had never dated before. However, Moonlight was different. Moonlight gave Lai Gu the feeling of first love. Seeing that Lai Gu was still interested in Yuhua, Kaiyun asked towards Yuhua. Yuhua, how do you feel about him? I don't feel anything, Yuhua answered quickly and subconsciously. Luoho waved the folding fan in his hand and laughed. But someone else is interested in you. Song Kong, who was sitting at the side, had a long face on his face. He seemed to be very unhappy, and this long face made him even uglier. Yuhua, this man is actually quite good. He seems to be quite concerned about you. Kaiyun did not give up, and tried his best to persuade her. Yuhua seemed to understand Flag Master's meaning. She said faintly, "If Flag Master has the heart, Yuhua will not say anything." "Aya, Yuhua, look at what you're saying. Feelings can't be forced. Let's play games, play games." Kaiyun's eyes flickered. Just now, Moonlight's resentment was very high, making this Flag Master feel very awkward, as if she was selling out her subordinates. Yuhua pursed her lips and took a glance at Lai Gu. The latter was startled and immediately shifted his gaze away with a guilty look on his face. "Yuhua, it seems like Lai Gu really likes that Yuhua." Seeing Lai Gu's behavior, Donghuang Baiji asked. Yihua was currently adjusting the keyboard and said faintly, "He just likes everyone that he sees." "Same as you," Donghuang Baiji muttered. Yihua said lightly, "Since you said it like this, I can do it too." "Aya, I'm just joking." "No, no, no. Kiss me." "Annoying, there are so many subordinates here." "All the more reason for me to kiss you then." "Hurry up, if not, I will also like everyone that I see." Alright. The Empress was helpless. To actually use such a thing to threaten your wife. Yihua is probably the only one in this world who would do such a thing. As the Empress turned her head around, Yihua impolitely kissed onto the Empress's cherry lips. Your Honor's wife, can we go back and kiss one more time? We are going to play games now." Yi Zizi couldn't help but remind. Donghuang Baiji pinched her husband petulantly. Yihua had an indifferent look on his face. Right now his skin had become much thicker. The first round began. Yihua and Donghuang Baiji ran down the path, and the Empress was naturally the support. "Baiji, go and check if there is anyone in the bushes," Yihua ordered. Other than sleeping, a wife can also be used to check the bushes. If not, what's the point of marrying a wife? Donghuang Baiji naturally listened to her husband and controlled Wind Lady to check the bushes. However, 5 robust men were lying in ambush within the bushes. A Wind Lady moaned weakly and gave a drop of blood. The Empress was stupefied. Yihua let out a breath. "I knew that there was someone there. Luckily, I didn't go there." Donghuang Baiji, Yi Zizi, Lai Gu. Chapter 723. The 3 subordinates were very curious in their hearts. Why did your wife take a liking to his honor? My God, there is actually such a thing? The Empress was obviously a bit depressed after losing a drop of blood. She couldn't help but punch her husband. "It's all your fault. You made me poke my face into the bushes." The match continued. On the other side was Luo Ho's policewoman and Yihua's normal A soldier. Placing the clip was also a normal operation, and the support was Sky Red's Japanese woman. "Baiji, step on that clamp." Yihua began ordering again. "Why? It's very dangerous." Donghuang Baiji was confused. "What if I accidentally step on it?" Donghuang Baiji controlled Wind Maiden to step on the clip. Gotcha. Originally, the bottom lane was going to play peacefully with Soldier A, but seeing that Wind Girl had been caught, Hino reflexively flew over. Then the policewoman reflexively hit him. Yihua retreated on reflex. Donghuang Baiji. The Wind Lady moaned weakly. Yihua said, "I just knew that stepping on a clamp would cause me to die." Sure enough, that's the case. A few black lines appeared on Donghuang Baiji's forehead. Donghuang Baiji decided to ignore Yihua for now. Donghuang Baiji, who had just been killed, became much more careful. Donghuang Baiji hid behind Yihua, while Yihua hid behind the tower. The couple activated the tower defense mode. Yihua typed, "Wretched development." Right after they finished fighting, Lai Gu, who was on the top lane, was also sent to the battlefield. He was killed 3 times. Lai Gu was stupefied. Just how big of a grudge is this? Both the mid and jungler have come to capture me. And the jungler of the other party is even Moonlight. Lai Gu hurriedly typed, "Yuhua, can you not capture me?" "No," Yuhua replied. At this time, Yi Zizi hurriedly typed, "Please don't send me off." The competition had already been going on for 20 minutes, and Voidless Realm was only left with Highland Tower. Lai Gu had already been sent to the other side like a dog. Baiji insert the eye. Yihua said gravely, and was currently attentively patching the tower. I don't have money. Selling equipment for vision. Oh. In the end, as soon as the Empress sold her equipment, she bought a bag of goblins and ran out into the wild. Ah. With a helpless groan, the Empress had once again delivered her head. Yi Zizi covered her face. The gaming experience is extremely bad. Yihua secretly typed, let's go and steal the dragon, then we will be able to make a comeback. This idea was not bad, and it was unanimously approved by his subordinates. The 5 of them sneaked up to the big dragon and started fighting. Baiji, give yourself a shield, you are going to die. Yihua couldn't help but shout out. Just as he said that, the Empress once again let out a weak groan. She was killed by the dragon. However, due to the lack of equipment, it was very slow for South Wuqi's group to kill the dragon. South Wuqi's group also knew that his honor was stealing the dragon, and thus all of them rushed over. And then Voidless Realm was annihilated, and not only did Nan Wuqi obtain the kill, he even managed to snatch the dragon. Yihua almost vomited blood from anger, and he even had the thought of smashing his computer. Baiji, why are you so noob? Yihua couldn't help but say. Empress felt wronged. I already said that I don't know how to play. Why don't you just listen to me? I died so many times because I listened to you. Just who is the noob here? The Empress was also angry. Yihua is too much of a bully. The 3 subordinates remained silent. His honor and his wife quarreled because they were playing a game. Yihua said angrily, I won't be playing with you in the next round. So be it then. Donghuang Baiji snorted. This sentence was destined to be GG. After losing a round, Yihua was very unhappy, and he blamed the reason on his wife. Look at how good the support is at playing, and how many assists there are. In the second round, Yihua chose to go top lane with Hand of Noxus, and Donghuang Baiji chose to go top lane with Death Mage as her support. Yihua snorted. Without you supporting me, look at how I carry the entire game. After finished speaking, I even flashed my card. Humph, Donghuang Baiji snorted and ignored Yihua. As expected, there isn't a single good man in games. Yihua naturally wouldn't go to the bushes after all, his wife wasn't by his side. Thus, he waited for the soldiers to come over before rushing out. Seeing that everyone else was online, he felt at ease. Look, I will get the first kill. Yihua vowed. Donghuang Baiji completely ignored him, causing Yihua to feel very gloomy. I must definitely get the first kill for this woman to see. Thus Yihua played very aggressively, and the lane was also pushed over. Kai Yun, who was jungling, took the opportunity and went straight for the top lane. However, right at this moment, a kill came from the bottom lane. A husband, I got the first kill. Donghuang Baiji, who was in excitement, immediately shook her husband's arm, appearing very excited. However, at this moment, Kai Yun, this blind man, came over and directly threw a cue at Yihua's face. Yihua hurriedly blinked away, but the blind man immediately kicked him and slammed the ground. Yihua GG. Right now Yihua's face was black. On the public chat. Your Honor, be careful. Kai Yun was very proud of himself. Yihua, who was flustered and exasperated, said to the Empress, who was beside him, It's all your fault. You interfered with me just now. You caused me to die. Donghuang Baiji pouted her mouth. It's clearly your fault, and you are still blaming me? Seeing that his wife wasn't speaking, Yihua continued to go online while feeling gloomy. This time, he was much more stable, and he was able to deal the last hit in peace. Right now, Donghuang Baiji had also gotten into the bottom lane, and her coordination with Death Mage was very good, causing the bottom lane to collapse. Meanwhile, when Yihua saw that his wife's battle score was actually better than his, he became even more unhappy. I am a man who is supposed to carry the entire team, and yet, I ended up becoming my wife. No. I, the Supreme Overlord, want to kill. Kill stealing. Afterward, Yihua began to shamelessly steal kills. After his wife had beaten the enemy half to death, he would flash to the guillotine. However, every time he flashed to the guillotine, he would never return. If not for Donghuang Baiji's easy, he would probably have ended up as a GG again. In the end, Donghuang Baiji carried the entire team, and the score became 1-1. Yihua had the most deaths in the entire team, other than those few kills that he managed to steal. Seeing that Yihua was unhappy, Donghuang Baiji lightly held onto Yihua's hand and said tenderly, "Husband, let's go down together." "No." Yihua was very tsundere. "I beg of you," Donghuang Baiji said with a smile, as if she was coaxing her own child. Yihua pursed his lips. "Kiss me and I will promise you." Donghuang Baiji kissed onto Yihua's cheek. "Is that okay?" "All right, I will give you one more chance." "Thank you, husband, I will continue to support you." Donghuang Baiji said tenderly. "This is what a smart woman should be like. No matter how powerful I am still a man who is the center of everything. No wonder Yihua likes me so much." Yihua said faintly, "Forget it, I will support you." Hearing what Yihua said, Donghuang Baiji became slightly absent-minded for a moment, then revealed out a gentle smile. "Husband, you are the best." "It's good that you know," Yihua said faintly, and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 724. Between husband and wife, they had to tolerate and understand each other. Since the Empress was already like this, I naturally had to give her face. With the husband and wife working together, Yihua instantly killed Nan Wuqi, and Yihua became the man behind the Empress. Looking at the happy smile on his wife's face, Yihua felt that it was all worth it. Don't men have to make their women happy? The final score was locked at 31. Donghuang Baiji was the expert with the most potential. "Husband, we won." Donghuang Baiji hugged onto her man and gave him a kiss. Looking at how her man was silently protecting her just now, although it was just a game, Donghuang Baiji felt very touched. "Yihua, thank you. There is no need to say such things between us." Yihua lovingly pinched onto the Empress's cheek. The Empress also wore a tender expression as she nestled in her husband's embrace, rubbing against him lightly. At this moment, Kaiyun led all of the members of Southern Wuqi and arrived before Yihua, then shouted out once again, "Subordinate congratulates your honor." Yihua nodded his head. "In the future, all of you will be my subordinates. All of your grudges will naturally be my grudges." "Thank you, your honor." Kaiyun was very excited. "If those people were still here, I will definitely take revenge for my subordinates." Five Flags behind him was also very moved. The scene of being tortured was still vivid in their minds. After being sealed for so long, they naturally harbored hatred in their hearts. This move of Yihua's could be said to have drawn the hearts of the people over to his side. In the past, Yihua would definitely not have used this move. However, the Yihua who had changed did. When it came to scheming, the Yihua himself was also an expert. In the future, you two can continue to use the identity of Nan Wuqi, and do not reveal the relationship between you two and me. Yihua didn't want others to know about this matter for the time being. Yes. Kaiyun naturally agreed unconditionally. Yihua held on to Donghuang Baiji's small hand and stood up. "That's all for today. Wait for my orders." "Yes." This subordinate respectfully sends off his honor. Yihua and Donghuang Baiji returned to Voidless Realm. Yi Zizi naturally returned to Qingbar, and Death Mage definitely returned to accompany his wife. As for Lai Gu was not in a hurry to go back. Instead, he walked towards Yuhua and lightly helped her up. "Yuhua, can I add you on WeChat?" With a strange shyness, Lai Gu asked. Yuhua pursed her lips, and Kaiyun gave his subordinate a look. "Don't be a third wheel here." "All right." Yuhua was also helpless. "Right now, we are all his honor's subordinates." Hearing that Yuhua agreed to it, Lai Gu hurriedly took out his phone and said, "Let me scan you." Yuhua helplessly took out her QR code. With a beep, Lai Gu finally added Yuhua's WeChat. "Then, I'll be leaving first." "Yes." She had liked Yuhua for a long time, but that high school student was dating Yuhua the first time they met. Don't I look ugly? Could it be that this was really an era where one's face mattered? The prehistoric era is still the best. On the other side, Yihua brought the Empress back home. When Qingye saw that her husband had finally returned, she cried tears of joy. This caused Yihua to comfort Qinya for a long time. Only after agreeing to countless conditions did Qinya finally feel better. Of course, Yihua also had to tell Qinya about what happened. Yihua added oil to the details of what happened, making it seem as if Qinya had a narrow escape from death, causing Qinya's heart to ache endlessly. Qinya kept saying that she was useless and was unable to help Yihua. Donghuang Baiji smiled but didn't say anything. Yihua is always like this. Whenever he sees an opportunity, he will lie to her. Look at Qinya. She has already been lied to by Yihua to the point where her face is covered with tears. Of course, rolling in the bed with Qinya was especially hard on Yihua, causing Yihua to feel great. Yihua shouted that Qinya had become sensible. After settling the two wives, Yihua hugged onto the two beauties and did not go to sleep. The current situation doesn't seem right. I, the Supreme Overlord, have no opponents again. The main reason is that the environment is different. Most people are just enjoying life, and there aren't any fights. Kangluo continent is still the best. The place is big, there are a lot of powers, and there are a lot of people who are competitive. This time, should I return with a big scene, or should I return with a low profile? After pondering for a long time, Yihua felt that it would be better for him to return with a low profile. If he returned with a high profile, he would scare people to death. Chapter 725. People of Kangluo continent, wait for my arrival. Whether you live or die, it's all in your hands. Please make your choice. Don't disappoint me. The next morning, Lai Gu got up from the pile of beauties. Beside him were three beautiful celebrities. The scene was extremely alluring, and it was something that men yearned for. However, the scumbag Lai Gu was already used to this kind of scene. With an excited look on his face, he wore his clothes. They still noticed that after the man came back last night, he was especially excited. During the whole night, he didn't stop making love. Even now, he was still excited. Gugu, where are you going so early? Lai Gu asked with an amiable smile. Lai Gu, who was wearing his necktie, said with a smile, "Oh, going on a date." Date? The women on the bed were still stunned. At this moment, Wen Xia and Bai Xiaojun also woke up. That word date had an explosive effect. Saying that he wants to go on a date with another woman in front of his wives? It must be said that Lai Gu was very daring. However, Lai Gu was just like that. He wouldn't hide it, nor would he intentionally lie to them. Look, is my necktie straightened? Lai Gu looked at his three wives on the bed with an excited look. However, looking at their expressions, Lai Gu was puzzled for a moment. What's going on? In Lai Gu's heart, it's very normal to have a lot of women. In the past, my female dragons are constantly changing. Who are you going to go on a date with? Wen Xia asked coolly. Oh, it's that girl from Nanwuchi. Lai Gu rubbed a handful of hair wax on his head and dressed his hair carefully. The three wives looked at the man dressing his hair carefully. Even when he was with them, he had never dressed like this before. Thus, they felt very uncomfortable. Lai Gu took a glance at his wives on the bed and asked curiously, "Why do you all seem unhappy?" Nonsense, if a man wants to go on a date with another woman, how can they be happy? They are not sick. Bai Xiaojun's eyes even reddened, seemingly very wronged. Wen Xia grabbed onto the blanket tightly, and she was still biting her lips, resisting this kind of thing very much. After a long time, she still asked, "Did we do something wrong?" Lai Gu was really confused. "Nope, you guys are pretty good." "Then why do you still want to go on a date with another woman?" Bai Xiaojun mustered up her courage and asked, "What's the matter?" Lai Gu had a confused look on his face. The three wives were speechless, as if they were playing the lute to a cow. After tidying himself up, Lai Gu happily went out of the house. "I might not be able to return home tonight, so don't cook for me anymore, moi." As the door closed, Bai Xiaojun couldn't help but cry. Even the cool Wen Xia cried, let alone Yi ran. Ever since they got to know Lai Gu, they had been obediently being a good wife and tried their best to satisfy all of Lai Gu's needs. Lai Gu also did not disappoint them and loved them very much. I thought that I would continue living like this, but today, I actually heard that Lai Gu wanted to go on a date. Moreover, the target wasn't himself but another woman. It was so sudden that it was a huge blow to them. Even now, they still hadn't come back to their senses. They felt that it was all fake. Iran, what should we do? Bai Xiaozhen cried and asked Iran. After all, Iran was the big sister among them. He still didn't know what to do, and his heart was in a mess. Lai Gu was completely unaware of his wife's current state. At this moment, he had already arrived at Nanwiki. After taking out his WeChat, his profile picture was actually a dog. Yuhua, I'm here to pick you up. Heart sign. After sending the message, Lai Gu stood outside of the palace and waited. From time to time, he would breathe in and smell the air. After that, he took out a mirror and looked at himself. My hairstyle is pretty good, and I look very handsome. Not long later, Kai Yun brought his subordinates and walked out of the palace. Lai Gu saw Yuhua with a single glance. Today Yuhua was very beautiful. She was wearing a light blue long dress, just like her attribute. That spotlessly white and flawless skin, that beautiful hair that was tied up behind her head, gave off a feeling of maturity. Her pair of clear and beautiful eyes were captivating, and her exquisite makeup was also extremely beautiful. This caused Lai Gu's little heart to thump. I really didn't expect that Yuhua would attach so much importance to this date, and actually dressed up so beautifully. There's a chance. There's a chance. This morning, Yuhua was pulled up by Kai Yun early in the morning, and told her to dress up properly. Yuhua had no choice but to dress up under Kai Yun's supervision until Kai Yun was satisfied. Lai Gu, you came really early. Kai Yun laughed mischievously as he pulled Yuhua, who was a bit shy, and walked over. Right now, Lai Gu was also a bit shy, to the point where he didn't even know what he should say. I didn't sleep well last night. What Lai Gu said was the truth. After fighting all the way till dawn, how could I sleep well? Haha, you must be thinking of my Yuhua, right? Kai Yun winked his eyes towards Lai Gu. For the first time ever, Lai Gu's face became a bit red. When I was having sex with my wife yesterday, I indeed thought of Yuhua. Is this the taste of love? So nervous, so excited. Yuhua looked at Lai Gu's bashful look, and her expression changed and her face became a bit red. Kai Yun looked at the time and said, Lai Gu, today, I will hand my Yuhua over to you. Protect her properly. If I find out that you hurt Yuhua, I will report this to his honor. Kai Yun, you can be at ease. I guarantee that I will treat Yuhua well. Lai Gu patted on his chest and said, That's more like it. Hurry up and go on the date. Yuhua let out a breath and walked down the stairs. Lai Gu immediately followed after her. Song Konghong, who was standing at the back, suddenly called out. Moonlight, who was walking down the stairs, was stunned for a moment. She turned around and looked at Song Konghong. Little Red, what's the matter? The people of southern Wuqi only knew a little about Red Sky and Moonlight. White Bones knew the most about them. Keep it up, White Bones whispered to Cerulean Sky Hong. Kai Yun did not stop him, as if he was doing this for Blue Sky Red, forcing him to speak his mind. Song Konghong called out again. She clenched her fists and hated herself for speaking so slowly. Yuhua was puzzled when she saw Song Konghong's strange expression. Lil Red, let's talk when we get back. Upon hearing this, Song Konghong felt like a deflated balloon, completely drained of energy. And Lai Gu didn't care too much about it. He brought along Yuhua and disappeared from the top of the stairs, going on a date. Seeing the two of them vanish, Kai Yun sighed softly, turned around, and left. Luo Ho opened his folding fan, glanced at Sky Hong, and sighed. Kwang Sha shook his head and left. Meanwhile, White Bones scolded. You coward, serves you right to be single. Song Konghong stood at the same spot blankly. It was clearly a warm breeze, but right now I feel a bone-piercing cold. Looking at the place where the two of them disappeared from, Song Konghong felt that his heart was in pain. In pain. Why didn't I say it just now? Why am I so stupid? Why? Chapter 726. On the streets of London, Lai Gu and Yuhua were walking side by side. Yuhua's beauty naturally attracted foreign men, and foreign women didn't like men like Lai Gu who had a small body. They liked strong and muscular men. Walking on the street after the rain, Lai Gu was very nervous. He didn't even know what to say. Meanwhile, Yuhua, who was at the side, looked very calm. There wasn't any fluctuation. Looking around, Lai Gu's height was about the same as Yu Hua's. It wasn't that Yu Hua was very tall, but because Lai Gu was a high school student, he was slightly shorter than an adult man. Damn it, I am also a man who had been through hundreds of battles. Why am I speechless in front of a woman? In actuality, it was the same for the person that they liked. Some men would be shy. And for the 3 wives at the beginning, it was just a desire, or at that time, it was just a tool to vent. And after a long time, they would develop feelings for each other. However, Yu Hua was different. Are you tired? 30 minutes later, Lai Gu finally spoke out. Not tired. Yu Hua said faintly. Looking at the lady's bag in Yu Hua's hand, Lai Gu thought of a question. Don't guys have to help girls carry their bags? I will carry your bag for you. Lai Gu said without any substance. No need. Yu Hua said lightly. Lai Gu felt that Yu Hua's tone seemed to be a bit unhappy, thus, he became a bit anxious. She isn't angry, right? What should I do? I am good on the bed, but outside of the bed, I am still inferior to his honor. Should I introduce myself to her now? I am his honor's subordinate. And I know. Yu Hua's tone was still the same. I have been following his honor for almost 1,000 years. Oh. Lai Gu felt that he was going to collapse. How am I supposed to manipulate a girl like this? I only know how to force myself on her. After following his honor to this place, I already have 3 wives. Oh. Yu Hua seemed very calm. This caused Lai Gu to be stupefied. You don't mind? Lai Gu was puzzled. Is this Yu Hua trying to trick me? Yu Hua said lightly. Your original form is a dragon. 3 should still be considered a little, right? You know about this as well. Lai Gu was shocked. I have never revealed my true form before. How did she know about this? You're also a bone dragon of the undead clan, Yu Hua added. Lai Gu went into a daze for a moment. He felt that he was transparent in front of the moonlight. The 2 of them walked to the zebra crossing and waited for the red light. Lai Gu pouted his mouth, not knowing what else he should say. This Yu Hua is so cold. Even when Xia isn't as cold as her. Along with the green light lighting up, Lai Gu suddenly grabbed onto Yu Hua's wrist. This made Yu Hua frown, but because it was her wrist, she didn't say anything. After crossing the zebra crossing, Lai Gu let go of Yu Hua and appeared to be very calm. Actually, he was panicking. When he grabbed Yu Hua's wrist just now, he felt that his heart was about to jump out. However, when he thought that Yu Hua did not resist, he still felt that there was a chance. I'm sorry about yesterday's matter. I didn't injure you, right? Lai Gu began to chat awkwardly again. No, Yu Hua said softly. Nothing like that? What a great blow to this king. It must be said that Yu Hua was able to restrain Lai Gu in every aspect. Regardless of whether it was fighting or dating, it was still the same. Lai Gu felt that he had to change his way of talking and not chat so awkwardly anymore. Do you know, you almost scratched me to death yesterday. Yu Hua didn't say anything, and a bright redness appeared on her face. It's still very painful until now. After Lai Gu finished speaking, he even paused for a while, and had a gloomy look on his face. This made Yu Hua laugh lightly, then said softly, Isn't it because you asked for it yourself? Seeing that Yu Hua was finally made to laugh by him, Lai Gu was so happy. Furthermore, his face even turned red. As expected, changing his way of talking is useful. The important thing is that the atmosphere is no longer awkward. Sometimes, when a man and a woman are dating, don't be too depressing. The topics are all brought out by the man. Don't tell me that you still want the girl to take the initiative to talk to you? Unless that girl directly fell for you, otherwise, it's impossible. Of course, the topic is also very important. It's good if it's a bit dirty. Adjusting the girl's mentality, just like what Lai Gu was doing right now. He directly made the bored Yu Hua laugh. This will definitely increase the favorability of the girl. Of course, this kind of topic cannot continue on. If not, I will become an old hooligan. Although Lai Gu was originally an old hooligan. Yu Hua, you look really beautiful when you smile. I am also an expert at picking up girls, alright? Just now, I was just being humble and probing the enemy's military situation. Girls all like to hear other people's praises. If they can grab onto the opportunity, they will definitely gain more points. Just like the current Yu Hua. She was a bit shy. Just look at the way she lightly flipped her hair. Thank you. Yuhua's tone also became a lot gentler. Lai Gu felt that there's a chance. There's really a chance. Do you know, actually, I didn't want to hurt you yesterday. Is that so? I see that you are rather ruthless. Yuhua's tone carried a bit of complaint, indicating that her mood was affected by Lai Gu. Lai Gu didn't show any apologetic expression and said with a smile, Yuhua, actually, your main body still has a special skill. Oh. Rebound. Lai Gu had a look of heartache. Rebound? Yuhua was puzzled. After all, she just came out from the seal not long ago, thus, she didn't know some tricks. That's right, when I hurt you, the rebound will immediately hit me. Yuhua's beautiful eyes seemed to be floating a bit, seemingly very shy. Yuhua, I didn't expect that you would be even more beautiful when you are shy. Lai Gu seized the opportunity and started flirting. This caused Yuhua's heartbeat to quicken a bit. How am I shy? Haha, you still dare to say no. You are already blushing. Lai Gu pointed at Yuhua's face and said with a smile. Actually, Lai Gu didn't really blush, but after being said by Lai Gu, Yuhua really blushed. Yuhua hammered Lai Gu unhappily. Alright, stop talking about me. Facing Yuhua's intimate action, Lai Gu was rather excited. If there is a girl that can treat you like this, it means that her heart has been stirred up by you. As long as this continues to develop, there will definitely be a chance. After all, this kind of action can at least upgrade from a stranger to a friend. Let's sit down and drink something. Seeing that the effect was more or less done, Lai Gu decided to rest for a bit before attacking again. Yuhua didn't refuse and nodded her head. In the following period of time, the two of them got to know each other, watched a movie, then went to an art exhibition, and even ate a romantic candlelight dinner. This was a dinner that Yuhua had never experienced before, thus, she felt that it was very romantic. After getting to know each other on the first day, Yuhua felt that Lai Gu was very considerate, reaching the level of meticulous care. Requesting for monthly votes, requesting for recommendation votes? Chapter 727. After dinner, the two of them took a walk beside the Tame River. Because the weather was a bit cold, Lai Gu gave Yuhua a coat to wear. Although he knew that Yuhua wasn't cold, this was still a kind of concern, a kind of consideration. Yuhua didn't reject Lai Gu's kindness, and the day passed rather happily. Lai Gu even bought a bouquet of carnations and gave it to Yuhua. Yuhua didn't reject it, and received the flowers from Lai Gu. It was the first time that she received flowers, and this made Yuhua have a strange feeling. After all, no one had ever given her flowers before. Yuhua was a person from the ancient era. How would the people of that era know anything about romance? Absolute strength was something that attracted the opposite sex. Even if they wanted to give flowers, they would give some high-grade techniques or weapons. Giving flowers wasn't something that a real man should do. But no matter which era it was, all girls liked romance. So when Yuhua received Lai Gu's flowers, her heartbeat quickened a bit, and the way she looked at Lai Gu also changed. Just having a good impression was already a huge improvement for Lai Gu. After all, Lai Gu wasn't good at chasing after girls, and it was already very amazing for him to be able to reach this stage. Yuhua, it's getting late, I'll send you back. Lai Gu looked at the time, it was already 9 p.m. Yuhua held on to the flowers and lightly agreed. Don't look down on this. Her tone was very gentle. Once a girl has this kind of expression, it meant that she had already placed you in her heart, and was willing to listen to you. Lai Gu wasn't stupid. From some details he could tell that Yuhua's feeling towards him was getting better and better, so he should strike while the iron is hot. The two of them returned to Namwachi, and stood on the stairs in front of the palace. Yuhua didn't leave in a hurry, seemingly waiting for Lai Gu to speak, or to say goodnight. Yuhua, I'm very happy to be able to be together with you today. Lai Gu abandoned his usual attitude and said steadily. Yuhua slightly nodded her head and said softly, Thank you for accompanying me for a day. Let's go to the amusement park to play tomorrow, okay? Lai Gu invited again. He was very nervous. If Yuhua was interested in him, she would definitely agree. If not, she would probably reject him and give him a cold song. Yu Hua was unfamiliar with amusement park, so she nodded her head. Okay. Lai Gu almost couldn't hold back the joy in his heart, and said excitedly. Then. I'll come and pick you up tomorrow morning. With a trace of a smile on her face, Yu Hua nodded her head. This caused Lai Gu to be dumbfounded. This is truly beautiful. Towards the girls that Lai Gu likes, all of them are the most beautiful existences, and Lai Gu was no exception. And alright, good night, rest early. You too. Wow. The Moonlight Society was concerned about him, so cool. It felt so good. Lai Gu instantly disappeared from where he was, and it was unknown where he appeared, and he changed back to his original form. The gigantic dragon skeleton swayed in the air, and it even performed a moonwalk. From time to time, it would let out a dragon roar, and it was so happy that it didn't look like a dragon anymore. As for Yu Hua, after seeing Lai Gu leaving, she laughed lightly and sniffed the carnation that was in her embrace. It is rather fragrant. Our moonlight flower is yearning for spring. Kai Yun teased as he looked at Moonlight Flower. Yu Hua immediately stopped smiling and said respectfully, Flagmaster. How was your date? Kai Yun looked at Moonlight, who was holding a bouquet of flowers, and asked with a smile. Judging from Moonlight's expression just now, they should have a chance. Yu Hua said calmly, Yes, I'm fine. Are you alright? You have already accepted someone else's flowers. Kai Yun pouted his mouth. I'm sorry to reject. If you don't want it, then give it to me. It looks rather nice in my room. As Kai Yun spoke, he was about to take the flowers, while Yu Hua subconsciously leaned back slightly. Although it was a very small action, and ordinary people wouldn't be able to see it, Kai Yun saw it. Women are all dishonest. Alright, I won't tease you anymore. Now you aren't even willing to give me a bouquet of flowers. Having a man is indeed different. Kai Yun was a bit jealous. A subordinate that is married out is like water that is splashed out. Just what happened to me just now. I even have to guard a bouquet of flowers. Did you two continue your date tomorrow? Kai Yun continued to ask. What a gossipy boss. In this aspect, Kai Yun and Yi Hua were very similar. Yu Hua nodded her head. And we have an appointment. That's great, quickly go and rest. Maintain a good night's sleep. That way, you will be beautiful. This teasing made Yu Hua speechless. Flagmaster, rest early. Got it, remember to dress up a bit prettier tomorrow. Yu Hua nodded her head with a slightly red face, then left. Looking at Yu Hua's leaving figure, Kai Yun retracted his smile and let out a deep sigh. Look at his honor's subordinate. He hooked up with Yu Hua in just a single day. And look at that idiot Xiao Hong, who has been guarding by Yu Hua's side for over 10,000 years. If you still don't make a move, Yu Hua is going to be snatched away by someone. With a gentle smile on her face, Yu Hua held onto the bouquet of flowers and walked towards her room. Meanwhile, Song Kong Hong was sitting on a stone bench in the garden, while holding onto a piece of white paper. He knew that he wasn't good at expressing himself with words, thus he wrote down all of his thoughts on the paper, hoping that Yu Hua would be able to accept him after seeing his confession. This garden was the path that Yu Hua had to pass by in order to go to her room. Thus, Song Kong Hong had been waiting here from day till night. Hearing those familiar footsteps, Song Kong Hong immediately became nervous. He stuffed the piece of white paper into his clothes, then stood up. However, when Song Kong Hong saw Yu Hua walking toward him with a bouquet of flowers and a mesmerizing smile on her face, he felt as if his heart had been slashed by a knife, and he found it hard to breathe. Yu Hua, who was holding the flowers, was very happy. This kind of happiness was rarely seen in Sky Red. At most, Yu Hua would have this kind of expression when she treated the Flagmaster. I just went out for a trip today. Why did it become like this? Sometimes, your giving up is helping someone else. A man should not be a coward. If you like someone, you should be bold enough to say it. Don't be like Song Kong Hong, only knowing regret after losing it. Regret that you did not have the courage to express it back then. Yu Hua also saw Song Kong Hong, who stood up. The happy smile on her face disappeared. Thinking of what happened in the morning, Yu Hua slowly walked toward Song Kong Hong and said with a smile, Xiao Hong, are you still awake? It would be a wonder if Sky Hong could fall asleep. Wait. Song Kong Hong mustered up her courage, and said the first word. Moonlight could understand. She slowly sat down on the stone bench and smiled. Are you waiting for me? You seem to have something to tell me this morning. What is it? You. Song Kong-hong was very nervous. She wanted to tell him not to go on a date. Chapter 728. Little Red, don't worry. He's been pretty good to me. Yesterday we fought for different masters, Yuhua said with a smile. Her words made Song Kong-hong's heart sink, and he sat down powerlessly. Yuhua seemed to have found someone to talk to, and she spoke out her thoughts one by one. Actually, in the beginning, I didn't think that Lai Gu was a good dragon. After all, the personality of a dragon is very clear. It is insatiably greedy. But today, I heard him say that he only has 3 wives. I think this dragon is quite honest. He speaks shyly and is very considerate. He takes good care of me. I think it's not bad. Nanny, only 3 wives? Actually, the dragon race in Yuhua's eyes was different. For those dragons that had transformed into human form, the number of females was maintained at 3 digits, and those with high status were all at 4 digits. As for Lai Gu, there were only 3 of them, and to the dragon race, it was simply a miracle. This also allowed Yuhua to discover the difference in Lai Gu. Song Kong-hong was speechless. She thought to herself, I can also take care of you and be so considerate. Look, these are the flowers he gave me. I actually quite like them. However, Lai Gu's luck was also rather good. Yuhua liked the carnations in her hands very much. Looking at Yuhua's happy look, Song Kong's heart felt as if it was bleeding. Song Kong really wanted to take out the white paper that was in his bosom, but he didn't dare to do so right now, as he was afraid that Yuhua would reject him. Song Kong was so happy right now. Little Red, I'm only saying this to you. Don't tell anyone else. Yuhua chuckled. In fact, Yuhua would sometimes confide in Song Kong-hong. This was because Song Kong-hong was a very good listener. He would listen to anything you said. Perhaps it was because of this that Song Kong-hong's feelings towards the moonlight essence had changed. Yuhua looked up at the full moon in the sky and said with a smile, Let's go to the amusement park tomorrow. It should be fun. Xiaohong, rest early. I'm going back. After that, Yuhua stood up with the flowers in her hands. Blue Sky Red called out. Yuhua turned around and asked with a smile, Is there anything else? Seeing the smile on Yuhua's face, Song Kong-hong slowly said, No. Yuhua nodded and walked towards her room after reminding her. Song Kong-hong sat down weakly and took out a piece of white paper. Song Kong-hong's face was contorted in grief. A tear slid out of the tiny eye and rolled down her face, dripping onto the white paper. Puff. When the tears touched the white paper, they instantly ignited and turned into dust. Behind a fake mountain not too far away, Kai Yun and his other 3 subordinates were currently sneaking away. Yihua's style was exactly the same as Yihua's. Yihua loved to watch this kind of gossip the most. Ai. Kai Yun sighed deeply. Sai Luoho sighed helplessly. Sigh. White Bones was exasperated. Sigh. Kuang Sha was a bit bored. On the other side, Lai Gu, who had just gotten over his excitement, had also returned home. Wife, I'm back. Lai Gu changed his shoes and shouted out loudly, without the slightest bit of feeling of guilt. Lai Gu's 3 wives could be seen sitting at the dining table, and a sumptuous dinner was placed on the dining table. Gugu, have you eaten? He stood up and asked with a smile. Lai Gu grinned and said, Speaking of which, I am indeed a bit hungry. The portion of that candlelight dinner is too small. A candlelight dinner? The expressions of the 3 wives froze. Even if you are fooling around outside, you don't have to show off in front of us, right? Lai Gu didn't notice the expressions of his wives at all, and he immediately sat down and started eating. It's so fragrant, you guys quickly eat. How could the 3 women have any appetite to eat? They were so angry that they were about to be full, but they were also helpless against such a matter. After the meal, Lai Gu pulled the 3 women to do their daily chores. However, Lai Gu discovered that his 3 women don't seem to be as passionate as they used to be. Just like the 3 corpses, this caused Lai Gu to be very puzzled, thinking that the 3 corpses were sick. That shouldn't be the case, they were all modified by me. And all of them have a physique that is immune to poison. What's wrong with you guys today? Is there something on your mind? Lai Gu asked curiously. The three women remained silent, feeling wronged to death. What do you think? Seeing that his wives were not speaking, Lai Gu smiled and said, Today's date was pretty good. I told Yuhua that I have the three of you as my wives, and she doesn't mind. We still have to go to the amusement park to play tomorrow. Aya, it's getting late. I need to take a good rest. After finished speaking, Lai Gu hugged onto Wenxia's body. Wenxia struggled for a bit, then calmed down again. The three women had been worried for the entire day at home, and at night, they were still waiting for Lai Gu to come back for dinner. However, when they heard such a matter, as women, they felt uncomfortable. I really don't understand why Lai Gu likes it so much. 1 week passed by very quickly. Lai Gu asked Yuhua out to play every day, and he pampered her in every possible way. The relationship between the two rose like a rocket, and right now, Lai Gu was even able to hold on to Yuhua's hand. Meanwhile, Lai Gu was as happy as a child. I feel that this is what love is. It feels so comfortable. Yuhua also gradually entered the state of love. Every day, she would dress up meticulously before going out, and she would present her most beautiful side. The most important thing was, the gentleness on Yuhua's face had never stopped. Being able to receive the little gifts that Lai Gu prepared meticulously every day made Yuhua even happier. Everyone in South Wuqi saw Yuhua's current state, and they felt happy for Yuhua. Of course, they were also cursing Song Konghong in their hearts. It's great now, seeing that the girl that I like is gone. I feel so comfortable. I have never seen such a cowardly person. In the end, it was still because Song Konghong was not confident in himself. After all, in terms of appearance, the difference between the two of them was too big. Adding on the changes that happened to Yuhua this week, it caused Song Konghong to be in so much pain that she wished she was dead. Song Konghong was very hurt. Lai Gu's three wives were even more so. Every night, their husbands would return home at 9 p.m., and that excited look on their faces was something that even they rarely saw. Even at night, the topic that they were discussing on the bed was Yuhua. All of it was Yuhua. This caused the three wives to be on the verge of collapsing. If this goes on, they will definitely suffer from depression. Therefore, the three women had no other choice but to seek help from His Honor. If this problem is not solved, I won't be able to get over the hurdle in my heart. In actuality, the three women didn't dare to tell their husbands about this matter, fearing that Lai Gu would get angry. Thus, they could only endure it silently. Thus, this kind of entanglement was created, and when the entanglement accumulated to a certain extent, it would erupt. On this night, Lai Gu and Yuhua ended their daily date. Just now, they went to the African prairie to look at various kinds of animals, and furthermore, they were holding hands with each other. Even though they were currently standing outside of South Wuqi's palace, the two of them were still tightly interlocked with each other. They were truly a pair of sweet lovers. Chapter 729. Yuhua's exquisite face was a bit red as she said lightly, "Me too. Let's change to another place to play tomorrow," Lai Gu said excitedly. If in the past he wanted to marry Yuhua as soon as possible, then now he just wanted to be together with Yuhua every day. And looking at Yuhua's slightly shy face, Lai Gu made up his mind and hugged Yuhua. "Yuhua, you are the best." Right now, Yuhua's heart was in a mess. This was the first time she snuggled into a man's embrace. This kind of hug gave her a strong sense of security, which was a feeling that she didn't have in the past. Right now, Lai Gu was very nervous. This was a different feeling from hugging my wife. Yuhua struggled for a bit, then calmed down. "Lai Gu, we are still outside the palace." "Ah, sorry." Lai Gu hurriedly let go of Yuhua and apologized. Looking at Lai Gu's panic-stricken look, Yuhua laughed tenderly, just like 100 flowers blooming at the same time. "You should go back and rest early. I will wait for you tomorrow," Yuhua said tenderly, and her pair of beautiful eyes revealed out tenderness. Lai Gu nodded his head. "And you should rest early too." Right after Yuhua finished speaking, His Honor's voice transmission rang out in Lai Gu's mind. His Honor's tone wasn't very good. Seeing that Lai Gu's expression had a huge change, Yuhua asked with concern. Did something happen? Oh, nothing much, His Honor is looking for me. Lai Gu squeezed out a smile. Judging from His Honor's tone, it definitely isn't a small matter. It can't be because of me and Yuhua, right? Hurry up and go then, don't delay the important matter. Yuhua instructed. This made Lai Gu very happy. Looking at Lai Gu leaving, Yuhua's mouth arced up into a trace of a smile. She was looking forward to tomorrow's date. Meanwhile, at Voidless Realm, the Empress's palace was brightly lit. Yihua's face was sunken as he listened to Lai Gu and the other two women's choked complaints. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were also sitting at the side, and their expressions weren't very good either. From their complaints, Lai Gu, that scumbag, was extremely bad. He had 3 beautiful wives at home, and he was still fooling around outside. The reason why Yihua's face turned black was because Lai Gu's actions had caused me, the Supreme Overlord, to lose too much face. This kind of matter actually came to me, and no matter how Qingya and Donghuang Baiji looked at it, the subordinates that I taught are exactly like this. The 3 women had no other choice but to beg His Honor to give them justice. There's no way for us to continue living like this. In actuality, Yihua was also scolding Lai Gu for being stupid. You're fooling around outside, yet you're showing off in front of your wife at night. Are you out of your mind or something? This kind of thing could not be said. After all, it was better to bring it home directly than to show off in front of his wife. Idiot. At this time, Lai Gu also appeared at the scene, and when he saw his 3 wives kneeling in front of His Honor while weeping, Lai Gu had a stupefied look on his face. Also, why is the complexion of His Honor and His Honor's madam so bad? Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Lai Gu also kneeled on the ground and shouted out. Yihua also didn't ask Lai Gu to get up. Since His Honor didn't say anything, Lai Gu didn't dare to get up. I feel that something big is going to happen today. Yihua looked at the big family that was kneeling on the ground, then took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up in annoyance. My face has been completely thrown away. Lai Gu, you said it yourself, how are we going to deal with this matter? Yihua said gravely. Lai Gu raised his head and said with a puzzled look on his face, Your Honor, what is the matter? Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, who were sitting at the side, shook their heads. Looking at Lai Gu's hesitant look, he doesn't seem to be pretending. What is the matter? Yihua's tone couldn't help but become a bit higher, scaring Lai Gu to the point that he hurriedly lowered his head. Subordinate really doesn't know what is going on. Lai Gu wanted to cry but had no tears. Just what is going on? Why are my 3 wives crying like that? You still have the face to ask me what is going on? Lai Gu's face suddenly sunk. Iran, did someone bully you all? Tell me, I will help you all vent your anger. Hearing what their husbands said, the 3 women cried even more ferociously. Qingya shook her head and said faintly, Lai Gu, do you still not know? Your wife? Lai Gu was really stupefied. Donghuang Baiji directly said, Lai Gu, forget about you dating Yuhua. Why did you have to anger them? Your wife, I didn't anger them. Lai Gu hurriedly explained. I indeed didn't anger them, and I have treated them quite well. The 3 women remained silent and sobbed in low voices. Yihua let out a light sigh. Towards Lai Gu, he understood him very well. For him to be able to persevere until now and not give up on them, it was already a miracle. I am asking you, just what are your thoughts towards them? Today, you don't have to hide anything from me, you better speak clearly. Because of your matter, I haven't gone to sleep yet. You are affecting my sleep quality. Qingya, Donghuang Baiji. Lai Gu still didn't understand what was going on, but he still said, Your Honor, of course I like them. Then if you were to choose between Yuhua and them, which side would you choose? Yihua raised the core question of this farce. This question made Lai Gu feel awkward. The first thing that appeared in his mind was Yuhua, and only after that did he think of his 3 wives. Seeing that Lai Gu was hesitating, tears began flowing out of the 3 women's eyes once again. I treated you with sincerity, yet this is the result I got in return. This is too hurtful. Yihua said faintly, When you were together with Yuhua this past Sunday, did you ever think about their feelings? You went on a date just because you said you were with them, and yet when you returned home, you even flaunted about it. Is there a hole in your brain? Speaking up to here, Lai Gu finally understood. So it was because of this matter. Thinking back to what happened this week, Lai Gu felt that he was indeed flaunting a bit. Your Honor, subordinate did not do that to flaunt. I only did not want to deceive them. It was subordinate who did not consider things thoroughly. I have troubled Your Honor. Lai Gu said respectfully. These were also Lai Gu's heartfelt words. He had never wanted to hide anything from them. From the first time they went on a date, it could be seen that Lai Gu told Yuhua about his 3 wives, and he did not hide anything from his wives. Perhaps, Lai Gu didn't consider things thoroughly, and didn't understand the thoughts of women. Between a husband and wife, it would be better for them to speak things out, and then solve it together. Yihua let out a breath. I helped you ask them just now. They don't mind you looking for them, but you have to respect them. Don't act like how you did in the past, understand? Yihua was also reminding Lai Gu to not treat others as tools for mating, and to treat others attentively. Lai Gu naturally understood what his honor meant. Your Honor, be at ease, I will treat them well. Something like this will not happen again. Chapter 730. The 4 people who were kneeling on the ground shouted out respectfully, Your Honor, Your Honor's wife. Lai Gu let out a sigh of relief, then looked at his 3 wives and said lightly, let's go home first. The 3 wives nodded their heads. In actuality, they were still a bit afraid. If I come to complain to His Honor, would I anger Lai Gu? After all, in their hearts, Lai Gu was a hegemon. After returning home, Bai Xiaozhen said lightly, Gu, I'll go and cook for you. Xiaozhen, let's have a good talk. Lai Gu said faintly, then walked towards the living room. Hearing that her husband's tone was different from before, the 3 women were a bit flustered. However, they still obediently followed behind her husband. The 4 of them sat on the sofa, and Lai Gu suddenly held onto the hands of his 3 wives and said slowly, I very rarely say sorry, but regarding this matter, the way I handled it was wrong. I have caused all of you to feel sad. I apologize to all of you. Hearing Lai Gu's apology, the resentment in the 3 women's hearts instantly dissipated. Lai Gu had never acted like this before. However, Lai Gu continued, we don't have any emotional foundation. In the beginning, I only treated you all as a tool to vent. Lai Gu still said. Lai Gu couldn't say this sentence out, but he still understood. More or less, but after such a long time, I discovered that I can't seem to leave you all. I have already gotten used to it. But the feeling that Yuehua gave me was like my first love, or rather love. I have never experienced such a feeling before. And the feelings between us were formed on the bed. Can you all understand if I say it like this? Lai Gu was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Bai Xiaozhen's slender shoulders slightly trembled as she choked with sobs. Then, after you have Yuehua, will you still treat us well? Lai Gu couldn't help but knock onto Bai Xiaozhen's forehead. Are you stupid? Although I like Yuehua, I didn't say that I will treat you all badly. If Yuehua comes to our house, she will also be the 4th child, and you will still be the eldest. Really? Bai Xiaozhen still didn't dare to believe it. These few days, I have been letting my imagination run wild. I thought that my husband would give me the cold shoulder. That's why, you women just love to let your imagination run wild. And you even quarreled with His Honor. If there's anything, we can sit down and talk, understand? After chatting like this, the 3 women heaved a sigh of relief. Actually, they were afraid that Lai Gu would give them the cold shoulder. I'm sorry. When Xia took the initiative to apologize to her husband, Lai Gu laughed evilly. Is a single apology enough? You guys have been lying like corpses for the past few days. Today, I am also going to lie like a corpse. After the misunderstanding was resolved, Lai Gu was finally able to feel comfortable. So much so that when the next morning came, the 3 wives even helped their husbands to dress up, and warned him about the things that he had to pay attention to, so as to not make the girls unhappy. Lai Gu was very happy towards his wives' change. Furthermore, he guaranteed that Yuehua would be his last woman. If Yuehua heard what Lai Gu said, he would definitely not believe it. Because in the past, Lai Gu often said that this female dragon is my last dragon. However, maybe after Lai Gu became a human, he also changed? With a happy mood and under the encouragement of his wives, Lai Gu continued to flirt with girls. Lai Gu was really interested in Yu Hua. Of course, towards his wives' magnanimity, Lai Gu was also very gratified, and the way he treated them also changed a lot. A year passed in the blink of an eye. During this year, nothing happened at all. This caused Yi Hua to be so bored that he started combing his hair. From that day onwards, Voidless Realm and South Wuchi were also being guessed by many people, wondering if they would shake hands and make peace with each other or fall out with each other. However, as a year passed, everyone seemed to have forgotten about these two huge organizations. Those who should be going to bars were going to bars. Those who should be flirting with girls were going to flirt with girls. And those who should be going on blind dates were going on blind dates. This was also the thing that made Yi Hua depressed. If everything is going on the right track, why would I want to stir up trouble? If not for my children growing up a bit, I would have directly killed my way back to Voidless Realm right now. Speaking of children, God Yi and Yi Lu had truly inherited Yi Hua's personality. They were very competitive and had an unyielding spirit. Ever since they were born, they had never left Voidless Realm. On the other hand, Dong Huang Li and Yi Yan were different. Sometimes they would go out to play, and when they were bored, they would train for a bit. Towards the four children's personalities, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji gave up on correcting them. However, during this period of time, a very strange thing happened, and that was the Green and Red brothers. They were actually unable to conceive a child, and this made Zishan and the other vampire sisters extremely anxious. In fact, they even gave the Green and Red brothers some old folk medicine to eat. In the end, they had no choice but to look for Yi Hua. After Yi Hua's diagnosis, he said that the Green and Red brothers were very normal, and if they were to continue working hard, they might be able to conceive a child. This matter also fell into the ears of Do Fusher and Li Hun. Originally, Li Hun didn't really care about this matter, but he was also very puzzled. I didn't take any safety measures with me, so why aren't there any reactions? As for Zhu Tian, he was still in the state of a kitten. Yi Zizi was still the same, playing games every day. Wei Chang and Tang Wei were also the same. Tang Wei had long given up on attacking, and without Tang Wei attacking, Wei Chang became even more unresponsive. Death Mage and Sun Fang were also the same, playing games and whatnot, living their lives happily. Blood Demon was also the same, meticulously taking care of the bar, making sure that his honor had enough pocket money. As for Lai Gu and Yu Hua, good things were about to happen. In this 1 year, Lai Gu had been very respectful and caring towards Yu Hua, and even now, he still hasn't kissed Yu Hua, and was only holding hands. Yu Hua was also gradually being captivated by Lai Gu's tenderness. Yesterday night, Lai Gu's marriage proposal was successful, and he begged his honor to host the wedding for him. This caused Yi Hua, who was bored to the point of being anxious, to come to life. I remember that the wedding that was hosted last time was hosted by Yi Hong and Zishan. I didn't expect that it would be Lai Gu's turn so quickly. I am very happy. The weather was beautiful, and the sunlight was warm. Lai Gu arrived at South Wuchi early in the morning to wait for Yu Hua, because today he was going to bring Yu Hua back home to get to know his 3 wives, then prepare to get married. Thinking about the 1 year that he spent chasing after Yu Hua, Lai Gu felt very happy. Hard work pays off. I finally managed to chase after the girl that I like. I am too happy. Yu Hua, who was in the room, was currently dressing up, and her beautiful face appeared to be very shy and a bit nervous. In any case, I am going to meet Lai Gu's other wives today. However, thinking about how well Lai Gu treated her, Yu Hua revealed out a happy smile. Marrying Lai Gu should be very happy. Sai, my Yu Hua is about to leave me. Kaiyan walked into the room disconsolately and sighed. Yu Hua turned her head around and said with a smile, "Flagmaster, wasn't it you who pushed me out? Then, I am going to take it back now." Kaiyan sat in Yu Hua's embrace and had a look of reluctance on his face. Chapter 731. I feel that it's fine as well. Then, I will inform Lai Gu about it now. Yu Hua joked. Kaiyan snorted. Yu Hua, you have been led astray by that Lai Gu. Yu Hua chuckled. I think so too. Looking at Yu Hua's tender appearance, Kai Yun sighed emotionally. Yu Hua, this dragon has chased after you for a year. His sincerity has finally come, and I can hand you over to him with ease. Towards creatures like dragons, they were a group of impatient and unbridled races. This was even more so towards women. Lai Gu persisted for a year and was respectful towards Yu Hua. He had also obtained Kai Yun's acknowledgement, and even more so, he had obtained Yu Hua's acknowledgement. Flag Master, look at what you're saying. It's as if I've married far away. Don't talk about it anymore. The others are still waiting outside the palace. Yes. Lai Gu, who was standing outside, finally waited for the moonlight to appear. Every time he saw the moonlight, Lai Gu would feel a surge of emotions. This surge of emotions wasn't a physiological need. It was just a simple desire to see the moonlight. Even from far away, Lai Gu waved his arm and shouted loudly, Yu Hua. Looking at Lai Gu's joyful look, Yu Hua revealed out a gentle smile. Lai Gu, I have made you wait for a long time. Lai Gu held on to Yu Hua's hand and said, It's all right. I am willing to wait for as long as it takes. Yu Hua was wearing a sparkling wedding ring on her finger. Everyone was envious. Your wife won't bully me, right? Yu Hua said in a joking tone. How could that be? They're all waiting for you. Our whole family is going to take our wedding photos. And I will listen to you. Yu Hua lightly held onto Lai Gu's arm, and the two of them disappeared from Nanwu Flag. In Song Konghong's room, the table was filled with empty bottles of 5-grain liquor. Song Konghong, who had sealed his cultivation, was already unconscious on the floor. There were many shredded pieces of paper on the floor, filled with his longing for Yu Hua. However, he had torn them up himself. The sat song, learned to get used to, played on a loop in the room. White Bones stood at the side, looking at Blue Sky Hong, who had been dispirited for a year. Why are you pretending to be dead? Who are you trying to sell yourself to? White Bones kicked Song Kong Hong, who was on the ground, and said angrily. Seeing that Song Kong Hong, who was on the ground, did not have any reaction, White Bones shouted lightly. You are the one who let him go. You can't blame others. Look at how much Lai Gu cares about you. Then look at you. How can there be a coward like you in our 5 Flags division? From what I see, Yu Hua's choice of Lai Gu is also correct. With your cowardly look, which woman would like you? The more Bai Gu spoke, the angrier he got, especially when he saw Firmament Hong's silly look. Now they're about to get married. If you have the ability, go and steal the wedding, coward. White Bones was also furious. He fiercely kicked and disappeared. After White Bones left, Blue Sky Red, who was on the ground, opened her small eyes. Bride kidnapping? This might be his last chance. Within Voidless Realm, Yi Hua was currently thinking about the wedding process. No matter what, it was Lai Gu's wedding, and as Lai Gu's mount, Yi Hua was very attentive towards it. However, this time I don't plan to invite a lot of people. All of them are just a group of subordinates. Using Lai Gu's words, great scholar, low profile, low profile. Actually, it was Yu Hua's idea. She didn't like to make it too grand. It was enough to have everyone's blessings. Qingya, what do you think I should say? Yi Hua asked curiously. After waiting for a while, Qingya didn't reply. Yi Hua asked Donghuang Baiji, Baiji, what do you think we should do to liven things up? Donghuang Baiji didn't say anything. Yi Hua turned his head around and looked towards his 2 wives. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji could be seen drinking tea with an unhappy look on their faces. A certain person, he is so worried about his subordinate's marriage, but why doesn't he worry about his own? Qingya's words have a hidden meaning. It has already been so long. Yet Yi Hua still hasn't given me and Baiji a wedding. Donghuang Baiji said, from what I see, a certain person doesn't want to give us a wedding. Yi Hua knew that it would be like this. These 2 days, the 2 of them have been acting abnormally. I already told you too, after I get my revenge, I will give you 2 an unprecedented wedding. Then how long do we have to wait? Are we going to have all our hair turn white and all our teeth fall out? Qingya snorted. Yi Hua smiled bitterly and shook his head. You 2 don't worry, help me think of a way first. Donghuang Baiji snorted. We are the women's people. How can we possibly think of a way with you? Tell Lai Gu to prepare more red packets. Otherwise, he won't open the door. Yihua. The wedding this time was different from the last time. These women were also grabbing onto the opportunity to cause trouble. All of the women joined in blocking the door, and even Qingye and Donghuang Baiji joined in the fun. Yihua smiled in disdain. All right, let's wait and see. All right, let's see who is more impressive. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji weren't afraid. October 10th was a good day. Today was the day that Lai Gu and his 4 wives were getting married. In the end, Yihua decided that the wedding would be held at Voidless Realm. Therefore, Voidless Realm was brimming with happiness today. As for the women, they were all arranged to be at South Wuqi Banner. As the groom, Lai Gu was wearing Chinese groom attire today, and there was even a huge red flower tied to his chest. Coupled with that happy expression of his, he simply looked like an idiot. No matter how powerful a person is, when it comes to the day that they get married, they would all become like this. When the day comes, I will be very calm and collected. Yihua was also dressed splendidly today. Looking at the time, it's about time. Everyone come over. Yihua ordered. Lai Gu, Wei Chang, Death Mage Yihang Liang, Do Fusher, Blood Demon, and a husky formed Lai Gu's groomsmen group. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. Everyone shouted out in unison. Yihua slightly raised his hand and said, Today we only have one mission. Snatch the bride. When everyone heard snatch the bride, it was so exciting. However, Lai Gu hurriedly said, The bride is mine, you all cannot snatch the bride. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed out loud, and even Yihua laughed out loud. This is the kind of festive atmosphere that I wanted. Speaking of which, it has been a long time since the entire group was like this. This wedding is a good one. Yihua looked at the time. The auspicious time has arrived. Let's go. Everyone rubbed their palms together, preparing to turn South Wuqi Banner upside down. Everyone immediately arrived at South Wuqi Banner, and Yihua waved his hand. Snatch! Lai Gu and the others shouted out, Snatch! Seeing that his honor had brought people over to snatch the bride, Bai Gu, who was in the air, hurriedly went back to report the situation. His honor is here to snatch the bride. For beautiful women who were dressed in red bridal attire could be seen sitting on the big bed, and countless beautiful women could be seen standing beside them. Qingye Donghuang Baiji, Qing Yutong Yi Zizi Brett Tang Wei, Sun Fang, Zishan Li Hun, the Blood Clan sisters, Dongfang Yuer, Guan Yanxin, and of course Kai Yun the Little Beauty. Luo Ho, Kuang Sha, and Bai Gu were naturally among them as well, but Sky Red was not seen. Chapter 732. Everyone thought that Song Konghong did not want to see this scene, so she hid in her room and cried. Or perhaps she did not dare to face reality and chose to escape. Qingye laughed lightly and said, Snatch people. It won't be that easy. That's right, that's right. Is it so easy to marry my Yuhua? Kaiyan revealed a naughty smile. It looked like the female side was going to stir up trouble. With Qingye and Donghuang Baiji supporting him, the woman's side became very arrogant. If Lai Gu wants to marry his wife today, no matter what, he would have to lose a few kilograms of blood. At this moment, Qingye laughed tenderly, then immediately formed hand seals with both hands. Emperor Extreme Mystery Codex. This move was something that Yihua had taught Qingye. Right now, Qingye was using this move to trick her husband. This move was also a blatant revenge on Yihua. Yihua didn't give me a wedding, yet he didn't even coax Yihua. An invisible barrier could be seen enveloping the bride's room. In order to make the barrier even more sturdy, Qingye smiled and said, Come, add a bit of something. All the beauties had heard what your wife had said. She had added as much material as she could to make the barrier as hard as possible. Right now, Yihua had brought his underlings over. Era ran at the very front and excitedly stuck out his tongue and swung it around, making it seem as if he was the one who got married. Bang! The husky Yunlang felt as if he had knocked his head on something. He felt dizzy and his limbs were unsteady, as if he was drunk. Seeing how the husky was acting, Yihua raised his hand and clenched his fist. There's a trap! The subordinates came to an abrupt halt. Lai Gu stretched out his hand and touched with a puzzled expression, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Do you have to be so ruthless? Blood Demon, who was at the side, was recording the scene with his camera. Such a joyous moment like this naturally has to be recorded. 100 years. 1,000 years. 10,000 years later, when I take it out to look at it, it will also be very warm and heartwarming. This was what a lively team should be like, one that felt like home. Yihua stretched out his hand and touched Yihua's hand. Yihua silently scolded his wife for messing around. However, since it is a wedding, of course, I have to mess around. Yihua could be seen taking out a loudspeaker, then shouting out loudly, "The woman inside, listen up. You have been surrounded. If you know what's good for you, quickly hand over the bride to me." Lai Gu felt that with his honor supporting him, Lai Gu's confidence had also increased. When his honor speaks, will the woman inside still dare to not listen to him? However, Donghuang Baiji shouted out loudly, "Yihua, didn't you say that there isn't a difference between a superior and a subordinate today?" Did I? Did I say that? Yihua looked towards his male subordinate, and the latter shook his head. When did I say that? Hurry up and open the barrier. Don't let me find a chance to flip out. Yihua, who was holding onto the megaphone and shouting out the words, was also rather hilarious. If you all have the ability, then come and snatch it from me. Qingye was not to be outdone. Yihua smiled. These two jealous wives of mine, I really have to give it to them. Lai Gu, go. Yihua said gravely. All right. Era, who was sitting at the side, felt that his honor's tone is so strange. It seems like his honor is calling out to me. Lai Gu walked to the side of the barrier, stood in a horse stance and clenched his fists. Lai Gu is going to use force. Zishan cried out in surprise. Li Hun waved his hand and said, "Don't worry. Your wife's barrier together with our spiritual energy won't be broken so easily. If you want to marry my Yuhua, you'll have to go through 81 tribulations." Kai Yin gave a tender humph. She was a member of her family, yet when such a day really came, she was still reluctant to part with Yuhua. Although I will be able to see Yuhua very soon, I still feel that Yuhua isn't mine anymore. I really regret introducing Yuhua to Yihua. I thought that Yuhua wouldn't take a fancy to Lai Gu, but I didn't expect that Lai Gu would be so persistent. To a dragon, this is simply unbelievable. Back then, Kai Yin was still thinking that Lai Gu would definitely lose his patience after failing to woo Yuhua for a month. In the end, Lai Gu chased Yuhua for a whole year, completely moving Yuhua's heart. This is truly incomprehensible. Are you AF * King Dragon or not? You are a dog, right? Speaking of which, during the few years that Lai Gu was a dog, he had tempered his patience. According to his past personality, if Lai Gu didn't get any results after a week, he would have said goodbye. There was a loud bang. The entire Nanwu flag trembled violently. Lai Gu, who was outside, ruthlessly smashed his fist onto the barrier, and the position of both of his feet shattered. However, the barrier trembled along with Nanwu flag. Kai Yin, who was inside, immediately shouted out, "Lai Gu, if you break my Nanwu flag again, don't even think about marrying Yuhua today." Yuhua, who was sitting on the bed, shouted out in a low voice, "Flagmaster." Her meaning was very clear. Don't make things too difficult for Lai Gu. This caused Kai Yin to become even more gloomy. Right now, I haven't even gotten married yet, and I am already speaking up for my man. All of the women here have men, and they were able to understand the thoughts of the bride. At a time like this, don't disturb me from getting married. I have waited for this day with great difficulty. If it was them, they would definitely be the same as well, and they would also be impatient to get married. Lai Gu, who was outside, was very anxious, and he could only seek help from his honor. My little brother is getting married today. You all are playing too much. What do you all want before you all open the door? Yihua didn't waste any more time. Let's not waste any more time. Let's start with a rain of red packets. The laughter of the women inside rang out. Without even thinking, Lai Gu took out his phone and began sending red packets in the group. The women inside the group were also courting death by snatching the red packets. Yihua also silently took out his phone and casually tapped on a few red packets, feeling happy. Afterward, Qingye shouted out loudly, "Yihua, you cannot snatch them. Hurry up and send them out." Lai Gu looked at his honor with hidden bitterness. Looking at Lai Gu's expression, Yihua felt helpless. Didn't I just snatch a few red packets? These women are truly stingy. What's wrong with me snatching a few red packets? Without a choice, Yihua sent out a few more red packets, and I even suffered a loss. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have snatched them. After a few waves of red packets rained down, Qingye finally removed the barrier. Yihua waved his hand, snatch. A group of men immediately rushed into the room, and even knocked down the door. The men were simply going to kill the gods that they meet. How could the women be able to resist against them? In an instant, the men arrived in front of the bride. Qingye said angrily, "Why did you all let the red packets in so quickly? The red packet rain hasn't even stopped yet." The women were also helpless. These men are too savage. Yihua looked at his female subordinates and snorted. "What? Do you want to block my path too?" Qingye and Donghuang Baiji snorted. At the scene, only the two of them dared to be disrespectful to Yihua. At this time, it was Lai Gu's turn to speak. Looking at the four wives on the bed, Lai Gu's heart surged endlessly. "I finally have a wife. Read according to what is written on it. They are all written by your wives." Donghuang Baiji took out a piece of white paper, and on the paper, densely packed words were written on it. Lai Gu held onto the paper. "There are a lot of rules here." Looking at Lai Gu, who was preparing to take the oath, Yihua said faintly, "What are you standing for? Kneel down." Lai Gu looked at His Honor with a stupefied look. "His Honor, just whose side are you on? You can't be a spy, right?" That's right, His Honor has already spoken. Hurry up and kneel down and read." Kaiyun also wanted to, just that he was too embarrassed to say it out. Since His Honor had already spoken, Kaiyun immediately followed suit. Chapter 733. What else could Lai Gu do? Lai Gu obediently knelt beside the bed, then said, "My dear wives, I, Lai Gu, hereby swear that in this lifetime, I will only love the four of you. If I were to violate my vow, then let Yihua." Crackbone's skin felt a little numb. Was there a need to be so ruthless? "Hurry up and read it. Don't waste time." Qingye let out a sweet-sounding laughter. These were all written by the women together. And of course, these were also the thoughts of the four brides. Lai Gu made up his mind. "I will just let Yihua kill me, and from then on, I will not be able to have sex anymore." All the men instantly felt a chill in their crotches. How ruthless. Men really can't get married. After marriage, they will be completely suppressed by their wives. However, Lai Gu didn't think so, and he wholeheartedly wanted to marry them into his family. Therefore, he agreed to countless terms. It was like rubbing the dragon's face on the ground with all his might. After the vows, there were still various kinds of games that Lai Gu played. Lai Gu was also very cooperative, causing his four wives to laugh continuously. This is the atmosphere that a wedding should have. However, one of the games was a little scary. That was to let Lai Gu cover his eyes and kiss his four wives. Then guess who the wives were? However, the target of the kiss was not his four wives. Instead, he replaced them with Death Mage, Yi Hong, Do Fusher, and Er Ha. Everyone held back their laughter when they saw this scene, especially Er Ha, who stuck out his tongue to breathe. However, Lai Gu still had a bashful look on his face, causing everyone to almost collapse from laughter. The first thing that Lai Gu chose to do was to kiss Death Mage. This caused Sun Fong to cover her small mouth and almost spurt out. Even Death Mage's expression changed as he tightly grabbed onto the bedsheet. "I am going to be kissed by a man. So disgusting." However, Lai Gu was rather unrestrained, and he directly kissed Yihua. Everyone could even see that Lai Gu had stretched out his tongue and actually French kissed Death Mage. Looking at the situation, everyone was no longer able to hold back their laughter, and started laughing wildly. Even Yihua was paralyzed from laughing. The four brides on the bed also giggled. As expected of the undead clan, full of gay affection. When Lai Gu heard the laughter beside his ear, coupled with the feeling that it was weird, he took off his blindfold. Looking at Death Mage, who was in front of him with a face that was about to collapse, and those eerie white teeth. Fuck. I feel like vomiting. Lai Gu had the heart to cry. "You guys are too much of a bully. All of you are joining hands to bully me." This was the funniest scene. The last task was to find the shoes. When other people got married, they would look for a pair of shoes, but when Lai Gu got married, he would look for 4 pairs, 8 pairs. Yihua didn't hold back. Listen up, lift up their skirts. It must be hidden under the skirt. Yes. The male subordinates immediately looked at their wives. The room was immediately thrown into chaos. Yihua immediately hugged onto Qingye and Donghuang Baiji, then said in a low voice, "The two of you are not being honest today." Qingye and Donghuang Baiji said, "Who told you not to coax us?" All right, I'll coax you tonight. Pervert, quickly tell me where the shoes are," Yihua said with a smile. "Go look for it yourself. Don't force me to lift up my skirt," Yihua threatened. "Then go ahead and open it. Let's see if there are any." Yihua felt that it was definitely not on them. Immediately, he looked towards his sister-in-law, and the latter was immediately startled. So, it turns out that it was on Yutong's body. After letting go of his 2 wives, Yihua immediately grabbed onto his sister-in-law. "Ah, brother-in-law, what are you doing? What do you think I am doing? Quickly hand it over." "Don't." Qing Yutong snorted, indicating that her brother-in-law didn't like her anymore. Yihua said in a low voice, "Tell me where the shoes are. I will come over and accompany you tonight." "Really?" Qing Yutong was delighted. "Of course, when have I ever lied to you?" Qing Yutong immediately told Yihua where all of the shoes were hidden. Fortunately, Yihua had a little secret agent. If not, it would be really hard to find the shoes. Donghuang Baiji, who was standing not far away, said in a low voice, "Qingye, why do I feel that those 2 fellows are doing something ambiguous behind our backs?" "I have the same feeling too." Qingye nodded her head. "They couldn't have already done it, right? That's why they are hiding it from us." Donghuang Baiji cried out in surprise. However, there wasn't any anger on her face. I don't know." Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were both puzzled, just that they didn't have any evidence to prove it. With Qing Yutong's help, the shoes were instantly found. Lai Gu was finally able to bring his 4 wives out. He was so happy. Everyone excitedly changed their destination and arrived at Voidless Realm. After everyone left, only Tsang Konghong was left in South Wuqi. Just now he heard the laughter from the other side, and his heart felt very gloomy. But today I, Tsang Konghong, am going to be a man and take back my love. After returning to Voidless Realm, immediately, gongs and drums could be heard, and there were even firecrackers being set off. Since the wedding was going to be held in Voidless Realm, other than his subordinates, all of Voidless Realm's residents would also be attending the wedding. The wedding was going to be held in Voidless Realm, and the wedding was going to be held in a rather grand manner. There were a few hundred tables. The ones who were sitting at the very front were naturally Qingye's subordinates. As the host of the wedding, Yihua was already standing on the stage with a happy smile on his face. It is very rare to see Yihua smile for so long. Qingye said tenderly. Donghuang Baiji was also moved. "That's right, this fellow looks cold, but in actuality his heart is very warm. This is what it means to be cold on the outside but warm on the inside, right?" Qingye said tenderly. While looking at her man with her beautiful eyes, her heart was filled with happiness. Yihua, who was standing on the stage, looked at his subordinates and felt gratified in his heart. Right now, all of them were in pairs, living happily with each other. Compared to the way they fought and killed each other in the past, they were like 2 different people. As the boss of the team, Yihua also sighed incomparably. Slowly picking up the microphone, Yihua said with an incomparably joyful voice, "I am very happy to be able to stand here and host this wedding for Lai Gu." After finished speaking, Yihua even held on to Lai Gu, looking like a good brother. This caused Lai Gu to feel a bit overwhelmed by the favor. "I remember that last time, I was hosting Yihong and Zishan's wedding. In the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed. Time flies. Cherish the loved ones by your side. Let's not talk any more nonsense. Let's welcome today's 4 brides." The wedding march immediately rang out. The 4 brides had changed into pure white wedding gowns and were slowly walking over with white scarves. The ones who were scattering flowers at the front were naturally the 4 little fellows. Back then, when Yihong and Zishan got married, Ali was also scattering flowers. Today, it wasn't just Ali Yi and Gadyi, and Yi Lu were all present. Adorable children and beautiful brides, it was simply a perfect scene. Looking at his 4 wives who were leisurely walking over, Lai Gu felt very excited in his heart, to the point where he even had the feeling of wanting to cry. In my entire life, I have experienced many big and small battles with his honor. Every single day, I am walking on a tightrope, and I might fall at any moment. At that time, I can only vent. Chapter 734. Lai Gu knew that dragons always gave people a bad impression, but Yu Hua still chose to believe in him. I will not disappoint Yu Hua and my 3 wives. I will treat them well, love them well, protect them well, otherwise, they will be sad. As the 4 brides walked to the front of the stage, Yu Hua picked up the microphone and said with a smile, Lai Gu, do you know what you did wrong? Everyone present was stupefied. His honor changed his attitude too quickly, right? Lai Gu came to a realization and shook his head. Yi Hua said gravely, as your leader, I, the Supreme Overlord, only have 2 wives. You actually married 4 wives at once. Aren't you stealing my limelight? Everyone. Zishan laughed. His honor has become much more daring recently. He is no longer afraid of your wife. Yihang pouted her mouth. His honor is a real man. Unlike me, I get abused by Zishan every single day. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were helpless after hearing what Yihua said. Qingye shouted out, if you think that you don't have enough wives, go and find more. That's right, do you want me to introduce a few beauties to you? Donghuang Baiji said. This caused everyone to burst into laughter. The relationship between his honor and your wife sure is good, and they are also very down to earth, not giving off a feeling of being high and mighty. When have I, the Supreme Overlord, ever been a coward? Baiji, you are the one who said it. I still want 3 more. Yihua joked. No matter what, I still want more than my subordinates, right? Donghuang Baiji's expression remained unchanged. 3, that's too little. How about 30? I will let you flip the cards tonight. Yihua laughed out loud. Qingye, did you hear that? Hurry up and take action now. Blood Demon, take a picture of this for me. These are all evidence. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji snorted. He is even going to go on a high level. He still wants to have 30 wives. Pigtrotter, everyone was very surprised that his honor was able to make such a joke. At the same time, they also discovered another side of his honor. It was very interesting. Especially the newly joined South Wuqi and the others. They finally understood his honor a little. Let's put aside my harem plans for now. The main character today is not me. What his honor said caused everyone who was seated to laugh out. So his honor can actually be this amusing? I'm afraid that I have to go back and kneel on the keyboard tonight. Yihua gradually became serious and said to the 4 brides, Lai Gu has followed me for over 1,000 years, and he has done his best to help me. Lai Gu has been hovering on the edge of death. There is no perfect person. Lai Gu has his flaws, and I naturally have my flaws as well. However, since the 4 of you have chosen each other, you have to advance and retreat together. Lai Gu, do you have anything to say to them? Yihua passed the microphone over. Lai Gu took over the microphone, and he seemed to be very nervous. Even his hands were trembling. This was the first time Lai Gu's subordinates saw Lai Gu in such a state. Usually, Lai Gu was very carefree, and they didn't expect that he would be so nervous at this moment. What a naive dragon. The 4 wives standing in front of him were also smiling, looking at their adorable husbands. Lai Gu suddenly laughed. I'm sorry, I was too nervous and almost peed my pants. Haha. Everyone immediately burst into laughter, and even Yihua laughed. Lai Gu was also using this kind of method to relieve the nervousness in his heart. Taking a deep breath, Lai Gu said seriously, My personality is indeed not that good, but you all know that I am also changing. I will use the rest of my life to properly cherish all of you, and be a good husband, a good father. Everyone immediately applauded, and the applause of over 1,000 people resounded throughout the entire voidless realm. Yihua passed the microphone over to Lai Gu's wife, Still Ran. Right now, Still Ran was very excited and nervous. Recalling back to the first time she met Lai Gu, she was simply terrified. At that time, Lai Gu was still a dog. However, what she didn't expect was that Lai Gu was actually not a dog, but a dragon. At first, she was trembling under the tyranny of this dragon, and she even dragged her two good sisters along with her. However, because of such a coincidence, she slowly fell in love with this dragon. It was very dramatic. With a light smile on her face, she said tenderly, "Lai Gu, I am honored that you dragged me away that day." This sentence was only known to Lai Gu and still ran, and of course Yihua as well. There was no need to say anything. What followed next was Wen Xia and Bai Xiaozhen's heartfelt words. Lai Gu was extremely touched, and he was actually moved to tears. The four wives were also infected by Lai Gu, and tears of happiness flowed down from their eyes. Yihua smiled. "Look, Lai Gu is actually moved to tears. Everyone, let's give him a round of applause." At this moment, it was Yuhua's turn. Yuhua was also Lai Gu's most favorite woman, and it could be said that she was his first love. Everyone in the team knew that Lai Gu spent an entire year chasing after Yuhua, and they were all very impressed by him. If there is a man who is able to chase after a woman for an entire year, then hurry up and accept him. Yuhua said lightly, "Lai Gu, thank you for accompanying me for an entire year, allowing me to experience a different feeling. Actually, I didn't like you in the beginning, but as I got to know you more, I found out that you are very considerate, very concerned about me, and always think for me. Thank you for treating me so well." Right after Yuhua finished speaking, Yihua teased, "Bride, you wouldn't be giving me a good person card right now, right?" Everyone immediately burst into laughter. His honor is too funny. Yuhua was also very helpless. His honor is truly mischievous. However, Yihua's words frightened Lai Gu. He actually really thought that Yuhua would give him a good person card. However, Yuhua said tenderly, "Lai Gu, I love you." The audience was silent for a second. In an instant, the entire voidless realm burst into an uproar. Everyone stood up and cheered, and all kinds of whistles could be heard. The entire voidless realm sank into a sea of joy. As the person involved, Lai Gu had already used his sleeves to wipe his tears. 1 year. He chased after Yuhua for a year. Today he finally heard Yuhua say that she loved him. It was not easy. Yihua was also very happy. "It is my happiness that my subordinates are happy." This time, Lai Gu is truly not having it easy. Look at this supreme overlord. When have I ever pursued Qingya and Donghuang Baiji? It was the two of them who sent themselves to my doorstep, and this supreme overlord reluctantly accepted them. Thinking up to here, Yihua secretly took a look at his two wives, and the two wives looked towards their husbands with a gaze filled with hidden bitterness. The meaning was clear. "You never pursued us, yet we gave birth to 2 children for you. You big liar." Yihua hurriedly took the microphone and changed the topic. "Everyone, quiet down for a bit. It is time to get to the main topic." Following Yihua's voice, everyone became silent. This is the might that comes from a supreme overlord. It can expand and contract freely. "Lai Gu, are you willing to marry them?" Just when Lai Gu was about to say that he was willing, Yihua interrupted him. "Wait a moment, I have forgotten a procedure." "Lai Gu, Your Honor, stop playing around, just let me marry my wives in peace." Yihua looked towards everyone and asked, "Is there anyone who objects?" Chapter 735. Yihua was dumbfounded. Not only was Yihua stupefied, Lai Gu was also stupefied. The 4 brides were also stupefied. Everyone was stupefied. There was really someone who objected. Yihua was just asking according to the procedure, and in the end, there was really someone who objected to it. This caused Yihua's face to immediately darken. Which idiot actually dares to come and ruin my place? And at this time, the expressions of Kai Yun and the others who were seated below changed drastically. The voice was all too familiar. Sky Red. Although White Bones could not be seen at the scene, his face was full of shock. Who would have thought that Cerulean Red would really come? Aren't you a little too daring? Don't you know that His Honor is the one presiding over the wedding? Why didn't you have such guts in the past? Aren't you courting death? The expressions of the subordinates changed in an instant, and they were filled with murderous intent. Who the hell would dare to cause trouble in such an environment? Qingya and Donghuang Baiji both appeared very cold. This is such a joyous occasion, and there are still people who came to make trouble. As the groom, Lai Gu clenched his fists tightly, and killing intent immediately burst out. Stealing a wife was like killing one's father. Yu Hua's face darkened slightly. Although it was just one word, Yu Hua could still tell who it was. Sky Red. Reverse. Another voice rang out, and it was filled with incomparable determination. And this figure also appeared, walking in the middle of the aisle paved with white flowers. Yi Hua's brows were tightly wrinkled as he looked at Sky Hong, and then he looked towards Kai Yun. His intentions were very clear. What does your subordinate mean? How dare you make me lose face? Yes, Song Kong Hong finally finished his sentence, but no one laughed at him, because everyone was confused and even shocked by Song Kong Hong's ugly behavior. This person's appearance was so ugly, yet he still dared to kidnap the bride. Don't you know what you're doing? Moreover, Song Kong Hong was considered one of them. Their own people smashing their own place. Could it be said that his honor is not good at disciplining his subordinates? There is actually someone who dares to brazenly snatch a marriage. This was completely not putting the supreme sovereign in his eyes. Kai Yun was anxious. She had not expected that Song Kong Hong would really dare to come and snatch the wedding. She had thought that things would get better after today. In the end, not only did he not get any better, but now he was courting death. Luo Ho shouted at Song Kong Hong. What are you doing? Come down quickly. Wild Sand was silent, as if he could understand Sky Red's feelings. The fact that Song Kong Hong dared to come here today meant that he had cast aside his own life and death. He would either succeed or die. Kai Yun shouted out angrily. If you had this kind of courage in the past, Lai Gu wouldn't even be here. Kai Yun didn't care too much about it and hurriedly walked forward, then leaned over to Yi Hua's side and said, Your Honor, Song Kong Hong is immature. Please quell your anger. Subordinate will bring him away right away. Before Yi Hua could say anything, Kai Yun hurriedly ran towards Song Kong Hong, then pulled onto Song Kong Hong's sleeve. Who knew that Sky Hong would swing his arm? Kai Yun's entire person was in a bad mood. He was actually shaken off by his subordinate. An honest man in his outburst was terrifying, and when he became stubborn, no one could stop him. It's over, White Bones whispered. The fact that Yi Hua didn't stop him just now was also giving him face. Just pull him back. He didn't expect that this blue Sky Red was so thick-headed. Sky Red, you sure have guts. Yi Hua shouted out angrily. Luo Ho, White Bones, and Quang Sha couldn't care so much anymore. They immediately stood up and walked to the center of the hall, then kneeled on the ground. Your Honor, please quell your anger. This blue Sky Red has drunk too much. We will bring him away right now. We have disturbed your Honor's mood. After finished speaking, the three of them prepared to pull Blue Sky Red away, because if Blue Sky Red were to continue acting recklessly, his life would be in danger. Yu Hua looked at the stubborn Blue Sky Red blankly, not knowing what she was thinking about. Lai Gu was angered to the point that his entire body was trembling. If it was someone else, that person would have already become a corpse by now. However, this person is one of us. Without his Honor's order, how am I supposed to kill him? Furthermore, today is the day of the wedding. Seeing blood is very inauspicious. Boom. The three of them who went to pull Blue Sky Red could be seen being directly sent flying by Blue Sky Red and falling onto the crowd. No go. The last word was shouted out by Blue Sky Red, and all of the grievances that he had been holding back for the past year completely exploded out. A terrifying aura immediately engulfed the entire place. As expected of the leader of South Wuchi's 5 banners, his strength is indeed formidable. Kai Yun glared angrily at Blue Sky Red and shouted out. You chose your own path. Don't you feel ashamed for coming here and causing trouble now? Even I feel ashamed for you. Blue Sky Red's twisted facial features became malevolent, and he suddenly knelt down towards Yi Hua. His knees were deeply sunk into the ground, and the flower petals floated around Blue Sky Red's body, making him appear very miserable. Your Honor, go. There were 2 seconds between these 2 words. If it was in the past, it would have been at least 1 minute. However, judging from Blue Sky Red's tone, It seemed like he was in great pain when he said those 2 words. This was the most evil curse that came from his race, the curse that caused Blue Sky Red to be unable to speak continuously. The moment he spoke, his soul would be burned. He might even die. Yihua looked at Blue Sky Red, who was kneeling on the ground. Yihua's expression was still gloomy, but he didn't say anything. After finished speaking those 2 words, Blue Sky Red's forehead was already filled with sweat, and even his tiny eyes were bloodshot, and his entire body was trembling. I like Yihua. Blue Sky Red was basically roaring at the top of his lungs. Those 2 words represented his love for Yihua that had lasted for over 10,000 years. At the same time, those 2 words were also burning Blue Sky Red's soul. Fine cracks appeared on his bronze-colored skin, and golden flames were burning within those cracks. Blue Sky Red lowered his head and clenched his fists tightly, enduring the pain of the curse. All of this is worth it. For some reason, some people started to admire this ugly man. Although they didn't know why he was in pain, his courage was commendable. When Yihua heard Blue Sky Red's confession, she was completely stupefied. Why would Blue Sky Red like me? I actually don't know about it at all. Lai Gu was also very shocked. I have been pursuing Yihua for a year, and I have never even seen Blue Sky Red before. I am completely unable to feel any hostility from Blue Sky Red. However, today you came over and said that you like my wife. Are you crazy? Right now Blue Sky Red was indeed crazy. Yihua was very shocked. This Blue Sky Red actually likes Yihua, and even came to snatch Blue Sky Red's wife without any regard for his life. I remember that in the past, Lai Gu liked Brett too, but Brett liked Ju Tian. After Lai Gu realized this, he didn't continue pursuing Yihua. However, this Blue Sky Red was clearly unwilling to give up. Blue Sky Red, do you want to die? Kai Yun shouted out coldly, and concern could be seen within her eyes. She knew the consequences of Blue Sky Red's actions. Blue Sky Red was basically using his life to confess. Flagmaster, let subordinate finish speaking, Blue Sky Red said gravely. Along with Blue Sky Red's words, the cracks on his skin gradually expanded, and those eerie golden flames actually started burning out from his skin, causing everyone to feel extremely terrified. Chapter 736. Li Hun saw the flames under Song Konghong's skin and said absent-mindedly, This is a mystical flame. Everyone at the table frowned at Li Hun's words. And when Yihua saw it, he revealed a surprised expression. Previously, he heard from Yi Zizi that the sky crimson was a ball of fire. He thought that it was just an ordinary elemental fire. He never would have thought that Sky Red's true form was actually a ball of deviant fire. And this deviant fire was currently devouring his true form, the life form of the heavenly flame. This is a race that Yihua has never seen before. No wonder I heard from Kai Yun that this Blue Sky Red is the leader of the 5 flags. At this moment, Moonlight finally spoke. Little Red, stop talking. Yihua shouted at Song Konghong. Over the past 10,000 years, Yihua had treated Song Konghong as a close friend, a good friend who could be said to be sincere. However, she had never thought that they would develop into a couple. This was not a problem of Blue Sky Red's ugliness. It was a matter of whether she liked him or not. If she really liked him, Yihua wouldn't mind pursuing him. They were just good friends. But now that Song Konghong had broken this relationship, their relationship would probably be strained. After all, everything can be said in private. His honor is presiding over my wedding, and it's even my wedding day. Isn't this the same as ruining things? The main point was still the kind of reckless destruction. It was equivalent to saying that if you didn't come with me, I would die in front of you. It was extremely extreme. However, if one were to look at the problem from Song Konghong's point of view, then the situation would be completely different. He was not trying to blackmail Yihua. He just wanted to speak his mind, no matter what the outcome would be, because he had been holding it in for over 10,000 years. Hearing that Yihua seemed to be concerned about Blue Sky Red, Lai Gu felt a bit uncomfortable in his heart. After all, Yihua was the woman he liked. Which man could stand his woman getting involved with another man? Although Lai Gu was a little angry right now, It was not to the extent where he would lose his rationality and blame Yuhua. What do you mean? Yihua asked gravely. Yuhua immediately prostrated herself on the ground and said respectfully, Your Honor, blue sky red is a kind of curse that one is born with. One's speech cannot be coherent, and if one's speech is coherent, the deviant fire within one's body will cause a backlash. A deep look could be seen on Yihua's face. The curse that seemed to be simple was actually the most vicious one. He couldn't even finish his sentence. Who could endure such a curse? No wonder Song Konghong spoke so slowly. It was because of the curse. Yuhua, I am asking you, do you know about this matter? Don't lie to me. Yihua questioned coldly. If Yuhua knew. Before I settle my personal matters, I agreed to Lai Gu's marriage proposal. This is a kind of deception. It was better not to have such a woman. Your Honor, subordinate doesn't know. If subordinate knows, I will definitely tell you clearly. Yuhua said sincerely. Hearing what his wife said, Lai Gu slightly heaved a sigh of relief. So it turns out that Yuhua doesn't know about it. Then it must be Song Konghong's wishful thinking. Everyone finally learned the truth. They suddenly realized that Song Konghong, who was kneeling on the ground, was very pitiful. He was still suffering from the searing pain. This was the burning of an exceptional flame. It was not something an ordinary person could endure. At that time, when Yihua was fighting against Yizizi, Yizizi directly fainted from the heat. Now Blue Sky Red was still holding on. This kind of infatuated man caused the females in Voidless Realm to exclaim in admiration. Although he looks ugly, his heart is good. In actuality, Song Konghong's facial features weren't very bad. The main point was that other people's facial features were scattered, while his facial features were squeezed together. His eyes were also very small, and if he were to go out at night, he would definitely scare people to death. Hearing what Yuhua said, Yihua nodded his head. Lai Gu, who was at the side, helped Yuhua up and asked with concern, Are you all right? Lai Gu, I'm sorry. Yuhua felt that she had to take responsibility for such a thing. She made her husband lose face. Lai Gu laughed. It's fine as long as I explain it clearly. Towards Lai Gu's magnanimity, Yuhua felt that she didn't misjudge Lai Gu. Regarding this farce, Yihua was also very helpless. Not punishing Song Konghong doesn't seem to be a bad idea. As for punishing Song Konghong, this Song Konghong is also a sentimental person. For the sake of the love of his heart, he didn't hesitate to let the exceptional flame backfire on him. Exceptional flames aren't anything fun. Song Konghong, you have also heard what I said just now. I am also a magnanimous person, but I cannot let you off lightly. You will properly reflect on yourself for 3 years in South Wuqi Realm. This punishment was undoubtedly the lightest punishment, and it was basically the same as not punishing Song Konghong at all. In any case, Song Konghong had been staying in South Wuqi Realm all this while. Kai Yun hurriedly gave his thanks. Your Honor has bestowed blessings upon me. This subordinate cannot thank you enough. I haven't finished. However, just when everyone thought that the farce was over, Song Konghong spoke again. It was another 5 words, but the cracks on his skin were getting bigger and bigger. Even the golden doubt was coming out. The temperature at the scene rose sharply. You can't afford to offend an honest man. When Kai Yin heard this, he wanted to kick someone. In the past, no one chased after Yuehua, and you didn't chase after her. Then, when Yuehua was chased by someone, you still didn't chase after her. Now that Yuehua is going to get married, you come here and act like a madman. However, everyone was curious as to what Song Konghong had to say. Since such an infatuated man had to endure the pain, they decided to let him finish. In the past, Yihua felt that a man who was infatuated with love was a sign of weakness, but now, he didn't feel that way anymore. At that time, when I was in conflict with Qingya and the others, I was also like that. Only someone who is deeply in love would be like that. The scariest thing was to fall in love with someone you shouldn't love. Speak. If you're done, get out of this sovereign's sight. No matter what, this Song Konghong still dared to offend the Supreme Overlord. The Supreme Overlord naturally didn't have a good expression on his face. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji thought that Yihua was going to fly into a rage again, But this time, Yihua didn't fly into a rage and even let Song Kong Hong finish speaking. This was rather surprising. Lai Gu was changing. Wasn't Yihua also changing? He was becoming more and more humane. Enduring the burning of doubt, Song Kong Hong slowly stood up. Every single movement of his seemed to be able to cause this 2 meters tall giant to fall down. Song Kong Hong had also heard Yuehua's words just now, and this undoubtedly gave Song Kong Hong another ruthless stab in his heart. However, this time, Song Kong Hong didn't cower. This was just like that sentence. I, Song Kong Hong, am a famous person. Not to mention, I like your wife. Song Kong Hong finally saw Yuehua, who was wearing a wedding dress. Yuehua is truly beautiful today, so beautiful that I feel suffocated. During the past month, how could I not have imagined myself wearing a groom's attire, tightly holding onto Yuehua's hand, and saying words of protecting her? However, today, I am not the groom. I am just a person who made his honor and flag master lose face. Yuehua. This was the first time that Song Kong Hong called out Yuehua's full name. Although Song Kong Hong's appearance was ugly, his slightly magnetic voice was exceptionally pleasant to the ears. Adding on to the atmosphere, Song Kong Hong sounded very miserable. Some of Voidless Realm's little girls were moved to tears. What a man who is infatuated with love. If there is a man who treats me like this, I will not hesitate to marry that man. However, the crack on Song Kong Hong's body became bigger once again. Asking for votes? You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.